in his heyday, and he missing weight. He over there fighting people. Like, what have we gotten to, man? Like, this is bad business, bro. All right, so I got my boy Sheldon, man. Sheldon, what's going on? What's good with
you? Youngsters, what's happening, man? What's going on with y'all?
Man, some shit.
Everything's good, man. We over here talking about we up to the point where first off you had the exchange between Keyshawn and Abdullah Mason. Then we just start talking about the day after because I found out around maybe 2-3 o'clock that he missed weight, but I still was under the impression that the fight was still going to take place. So I was still like in the midst of selling tickets, and I had a rental car that I was going to rent, and then I had my place down there because I got a free night over there at the I want to say it's the Courtyard or something, no, Fairfield. But then I end up, so once I found out it was canceled, I think you sent the bill, and I was like, dang, I was at my spot. I was like, dang, I got to go ahead and cancel this stuff, And so I was able to do all of that. But we up to that point where the dude missed weight, and a fight still was a possibility. And we got Ty on as well. Ty, what's good with you?
Salute, man. Salute.
Those 2 points right there. What were you fellas thinking about? We're gonna start with you, Sheldon. Like at that point, what were your thoughts once he missed weight and everything?
Well, we're gonna go back to the Abdullah Mason thing. I really didn't have no feelings either way about that because, number one, didn't know the circumstances about him missing weight at that time, and number two, why was Abdullah Mason up there with him anyway? He was sent up there. He was put up there. That's the reaction they wanted, and they got it. That's what they wanted. So they wanted some back and forth between those two because they at that time they were thinking about setting up a fight between those two, in my estimation. Now, once he missed weight, I was like, oh, okay, I see the play. Because he, like you say, he got up on the scale, he's smiling, he's flexing, like he actually did something. And I think you're absolutely 100% correct. He tried to do the Ryan Garcia, but you don't have the fan base or the clout of a Ryan Garcia. So you couldn't pull it off. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? You didn't even try. You knew last week, 4.3 pounds. You knew last week you couldn't make this weight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had principles and if you had integrity, you would have called somebody last week and say, hey, look, man, I can't make the weight. I'm not going to make 135. So what can we do? How can we work this out? Can you get this man a little extra bread? Does he even want to take the fight? Those are the questions you start asking. Because as we all know, who've been following this sport, watching this sport a long time, the last 5 pounds is the toughest pounds to lose.
It is.
He knew last week, not Monday. He knew last week he wasn't going to make that weight. He knew. He didn't even try.
Man, look, replenish.
And the fact that you got the Bruce Smiths and Michael Vicks, and you got all these people coming to see you, and you pull something like this, man. It's just a bad look. It's a bad look.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ty? What were your thoughts up to that point, man? I know you had a family member trying to get down there too.
Yeah, so man, my thoughts on the whole thing, like as far as him talking to Abdullah, I mean, this is a guy that you're not even fighting. So that was like, to me, that it makes sense. Now I can understand if Abdullah Mason had a couple more fights under his belt, was ready to challenge for the title or whatever. Okay, but just going after him, he's not even the guy that you're fighting. You know what I mean? And Abdullah Mason, like you saying earlier, he seems very respectful. It doesn't seem like that's his style to engage and all that. So I was a little disappointed there. And then with him not making weight, I mean, come on. I mean, this is your first defense of your strap. You're back in your hometown. You're the main event. You're the big stage. Your brothers are on the undercard, and then you miss weight, and then you don't even try to lose it in the hour they give you. I was a huge fan of Keyshawn, but like with all that stuff that went down, man, I just, like you said, I'm highly disappointed, and I became less of a fan. And it's
Man,
starting
I'm
to
not a fan of this dude no more, man. You can't do all that tomfoolery, dog. It's like just thing after thing, dog. You know what I'm saying? And so let's go ahead, man. I appreciate you fellas stopping through, man. This is a good one right here. You know, this is must need. This must need a conversation because these young fellas, man, y'all gotta stop this nonsense, bro. We can't have anybody that's solid. You know what I'm saying? Like you think about Tank Davis, he over there got some stuff in his eye. He gonna take a knee. You got Teofimo Lopez be saying racist stuff. You got Ryan Garcia testing positive. The only person who really solid is Devin, and they give him all type of flack. It's crazy. I don't get this with this world, man. And so my guy over here, Bashan Jordan, let me see. Let me go ahead and get that comment. I see it over there. He says, man, Smith, I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. Keyshawn and DB3 let the whole town down, man. Facts. Absolutely. He let Pernell Whitaker down, bro. So he says here, it says the shame of Norfolk. Now here, Albright's one-sided victory over Kelvin. And it was one-sided. How they gonna have a split decision? Leads to protest or post-fight dressing room altercation with Keyshawn Davis. So let's go ahead. I'm so disgusted, so we're going to have to discuss it. It says Keyshawn Davis jumps the opponent backstage after his brother's loss, gets dragged out by the cops. They should have took him to jail. I don't be really wishing on nobody, but, you can't be doing stuff like that's a black eye. And so what was going through you fellas' mind after you heard about the incident? I was over there last night. I wake up. I think, Vail, you sent some more information about this happened, and I'm like, oh, God, to add insult to injury, bro. What you think, man? Let's go ahead and start with you, Vail. We're gonna go ahead and go in the same order. Just go ahead and speak your piece.
Okay, shout out to Bashan, man, in Norfolk. Norfolk, great place, man. And I don't want y'all from Norfolk to think that this is,
Nah, man, we talking about Keyshawn Davis, man. That's what we talking about.
Keyshawn Davis. So
yeah, my man right here, Bashan, saying the same thing. He from there.
Yeah. So, man, it was just, it's like,
before you start, though, man, they got some bad females down there, and they nice too, man. You can find your nice wife down there, but I know you already got you one. But keep going.
But already, it's like it's not a good look, and you got Keyshawn Davis at the fight, smiling and stuff like that, which is like the second time I've seen this in life. Like I've only been to I don't go to a lot of live fights, believe it or not, and I could probably count on my hand how many I've been to. Probably haven't been to more than 10. So in those 10. This is the second one where one of the main eventers canceled and they showed up at the fight and they're smiling like nothing happened. So that's kind of a bad look in the end of itself.
All right, it is a bad look, man. That's horrible.
Especially when you consider, it's different when you spend money for something, man. And it's like, and this is supposed to be the business, man. That's bad business, man. And this goes beyond like us liking fighters and doing all that stuff. It's just bad business. So when I got wind of this, I'm like, how are you even making that decision? And then it's like, when you see some of the video, his baby in a stroller is there too. It's like, how are you making these decisions? And who is there to stop you from making these bad decisions, man, in your hometown? It's like,
you know what, Val, I don't mean to cut you off. See, that's the lack of leadership. See, he has to be the leader, although he's not the oldest. You the one who is the focal point. And the fact that he doesn't have he has everything else with the exception of being able to handle something and being the guy, it appears, because all of the things start to unravel. And if you are that guy, you should be the one who's able to mitigate and manage when situations get kind of rocky. You go ahead, your brother lose, it happens. Let me go ahead and console him and things like that. But never in a million years do you want to put a black eye on the event where you, as a pugilist, go and attack another fighter just because they celebrate the victory. That shows a lack of class there, my guy. But anyway, I'm gonna let you go ahead and land your plane.
Yeah, and a lot of people saying, "Hey, he's young. He's 26. We all make mistakes." That's true. I made a lot of mistakes, questionable mistakes at 26 or however age he is. But still, that don't make it right. I would go back and smack myself beside the head and say, you were wrong. And we all got them old, and that's not even an excuse, because we all got them old heads that tell us right from wrong. We just decide not to listen. So that's why
we don't have that. Yeah, we don't have it. Like, it's nobody telling these dudes to stop knocking the nonsense off, because they seem like they're scared to say something because they are the bag.
Yeah, go back in this corner, you know what I'm saying? You got other fighters, man. Somebody should be get that thing saying that's not how you do things. Like, how you gonna get in somebody's face because a lot of people are arguing over whether fight actually happened and whether it was just an altercation. Why are you even getting in somebody's face because they won? Now here, Albright, he earned that victory, regardless of however way you want to put it. He earned a victory. He won. So, and you got people seconding that, like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, no, you don't get in somebody's face because that's bad sportsmanship as a black guy, especially considering that this is a top-ranked production on ESPN. People don't get the magnitude of this. This is an ESPN production. These ain't little cats. This ain't a local show. This is ESPN. You know what I'm saying?
At its finest, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I bring up that local fighter when I first saw this happen beforehand in Detroit, because this local fighter, his name was Vernon Paris, where, he got caught up in some stuff where some fights were canceled and some fights was changed to a no contest. And his situation is even different because he wasn't making Keyshawn Davis type of money to stay away from things like the streets. So I kind of felt a little bad for him for what his career became, because he never really reached this echelon because of leaving the streets alone. But Keyshawn Davis, you got everything in the bag. Everything's handed to you, and you just throw it down the drain. Just throw it down the drain.
Well, some guys, when you got that type of mentality, man, you can put somebody in a win-win situation, they still lose, and he was in a win-win and end up losing.
It's fighters that would give anything to be where Keyshawn Davis is, and he
messed it up, bro. He messed it up. Yeah, he messed it up. What about you, Sheldon? What you talk to me, man? Is Sheldon still on here, or is it or not? If not, Ty, talk to me.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I was disappointed in Keyshawn. First, he missed weight. I mean, you trash talking Abdullah, you missed weight, and then you fighting. You fighting there Albright because your brother lost. So to me, that's showing me Keyshawn wanted to fight. No, he didn't have a fight, but he wanted to fight. You know what I mean? But that was very distasteful. I was, like I said, highly, highly disappointed in that, and I think he definitely needs to be have an example made out of him. He should be fined. He should be suspended the whole 9 yards, man. And then, like, when you seen him, at the ring, he's talking, eating popcorn, happy. Like, if I miss weight, man, I would want to be out there supporting my brothers, but I wouldn't even want to be out there in the crowd talking to people, smiling. He's eating popcorn and all that. So yeah, like I said, man, I was highly displeased, highly disappointed. And like I said, I think he definitely example needs to be made out of him. Like Bob Arum, somebody, yeah, he needs to be fined for that, man, and suspended.
Yeah, man. The man, first off, the first thing he does is miss weight, right? Listen to his weekend. Miss weight, right? Lack of remorse for missing the weight. You got people coming down there from far. You got celebrities coming down there. You missed the weight. Then on top of that, lack of remorse, you over there eating popcorn, having a good old time. Then on top of that, you end up canceling your fight. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother thing. The fight is canceled. People got to make different plans. And then you get an altercation with the person that whooped on your brother, bro. Like, what else could a man do that's distasteful? Like, what's you gonna do? Punch the commentator? You know what I'm saying? You might as well. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, as I looked at this, man, the altercation happened. It goes back because somebody did this on their show earlier, and if you Google and go back to a YouTube video, the young man Keyshawn Davis is talking real spicy towards Devin Haney. He's saying Devin Haney is a terrible loser. We saw you getting hit by the left hook. You stop crying and all this type of stuff. But you do the same thing yesterday. And it's worse than what Devin was attempting to do, because he lost to somebody who was on PEDs, or initially it was a loss. And before I forgave him for some of the jigs that he was cutting for like Ryan Garcia, the positive test that he had, the marijuana in the past. But again, you know what they say, bro. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now, this is the third time. I cannot go back to being a Keyshawn supporter. I just can't. These are the people he let down. He let the fans down. Vail, were you disappointed when you were going to go to the fight to see that main event? Were you disappointed, Vail, that the fight didn't happen?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I got that message. I was like, man, I planned this vacation just to come down here because I'm like, oh, a fight is going on. I can chill at Virginia Beach. I could have been in Myrtle Beach or Miami right now.
Kill two birds with one stone. Right, I'm gonna go in here to support this dude, see a good fight, be with my wife on the beach, and then just enjoy the 7 cities. But had this fight not taken place, I wouldn't have came down here. So he disappointed his fans. He disappointed his baby, bro. You see him going over there. He get into the altercation. Police trying to escort him out. Then I got to go get my baby out the stroller and all. Bro, your baby gonna be seeing this later in life, and hopefully that won't create a certain mentality of this kid based on what your father is doing in this situation. You disappointed the 7 cities, sir. All of those people who loved you, man, and they came out there, they riding for you. You disappointed them. You disappointed the great Pernell Whitaker, who put that city on the map. He believed in Norfolk. That's the only reason I knew about Norfolk, because I was a big Pernell Whitaker fan. And he used to always be helping the people. He'd have his events there. He was everything that city needed. And you were supposed to take it to the next level, or at least continue the great work of this great Pernell Whitaker. You disappointed Mike Vick, bro. Allen Iverson. Bud Crawford. You had Floyd Mayweather. You had a gang of celebrities. You said Bruce Smith is from there. Last but not least,
he was there.
The last things that you disappointed, bro, was your family. So you messed up some generational wealth opportunities. You get this victory, you're right there with Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis. You messed that up, man, and you just made it very hard for yourself moving forward. You know who else you owe an apology to? Top Rank. Top Rank don't give a lot of people these opportunities to fight in their hometown. They were building something special for you. They were allowing you to have cars with your family on there. You had your sister singing the national anthem. You had your mother being the one who's orchestrating everything. So that's that right there. Those opportunities are going to be lost. T. Rich says Top Rank has to bite the bullet. Not resigning Shakur was a bad move. Kind of. See, this kid was more explosive, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can make the case with Shakur that, you know, some people be like, he's a runner and this and that. They can make the case, even though I don't necessarily agree. But with him, it's just more chances that he took, you know, and and then he got that. See, the thing about Shakur doesn't have a fan base like that because it's what Cameron said. He left Newark too early. So when he goes back to Newark, it's not like, okay, Shakur is fighting because he really left too soon. But he's there, and that area is hungry for somebody to put their city back on the map like Pernell. And then T said Shakur was the one who chose to go elsewhere. That's a fact as well. Anything else, though, Vel, that you want to talk about when it comes to how Keyshawn let down Nas?
Yeah.
No, I'll leave it to Ty, but I will say that anything is fixable, man. It's anything.
Oh, it's fixable. It's fixed, but I'm just saying, like,
he got to do it, though. He got to do it. It's up to him.
And now you like at 135, you had a lot of advantages because you're bigger than these dudes. Like 140 is going to be a lot of sharks out there, and then you can't really pick and choose anymore because you got to show some remorse. I think, and somebody posted this earlier too. A good way to go ahead and get some get back is if you go ahead and lock horns with Frank Martin. Like if you go ahead and do that at 140, then you might be able to, you know, get some of that goodwill back. But what are you gonna say, Tom?
Yeah, I just want to say, and I seen Kelvin Davis like he tweeted or issued an apology, and he was saying something like
they didn't do it.
Yes, like something to that nature. But he was saying, here's about it. Like he was saying, we didn't jump nobody. Let's not get that part twisted or something. The media likes to twist the narrative. But we seen you on camera. We seen them holding Keyshawn back. He's running up. They're holding him back. And then now Albright had bruises and knots on his head after his fight. You know, he didn't have that after his fight with Kelvin, but he had when he was talking, you know, to the announcers backstage. So like, but to say that, you know, they didn't jump on anybody, and we seen the evidence right on camera.
Yeah, listen, man, that ain't no apology. You know what I'm saying? You just say you apologize, you leave it at that. And then they also see them dudes. Nobody is coming to see you. What they do say, Curtis or something, whatever that saying is. Nobody coming to see you.
Otis.
Ain't
nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Anybody coming to see you, bro. I saw an interview the other day where they interviewing a guy. He's telling the dude, don't put on clickbait on here. Man, ain't nobody barely even looking at your interview. Like, if you don't just sit up here and be appreciative of the fact that you got an interview, and then these dudes over here, they acting like they just way too much the main guy is Keyshawn. And Keyshawn, I understand you trying to put your brothers on in your hometown, but sometimes when you are that much of a star or that potential that you have, sometimes you got to go ahead and just come back later. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't worry about all this other stuff. You got so much stuff to focus in on yourself. So T Rich says explosive. Well, this was the time to show it against De Los Santos. It was. I don't want to see Keyshawn fight nobody else. De Los Santos is the only fighter at 135, 140 that's going to see who really about that. I can see that, but you know, De Los Santos might have to go to 140. But at least let the man know that you're going to be at, so you can be on an equal playing field. Glad they moved that baby out the way. Yeah, man, I feel bad that the baby even had to be around that tomfoolery, bro. Lastly, man, what I'm gonna say this, because I talked about who the people he let down, but that's why you don't cut corners, right? And so you have to really be somebody who's about his business, especially when you're at that level. See, when you're trying to cut corners, he, like I said, he thought that he was gonna get him an advantage over De Los Santos, and then, like I say, he was gonna knock him out, and then he was just gonna party, and then people were just gonna, you know, wipe it under the rug, the fact that he didn't make weight. Oh, De Los Santos was gonna beat him anyway. You know, and I kind of talked about those other things, so I'm not going. But the last thing I'm gonna say, bro, is that he just made his future that much more difficult. You know what I mean? And you let down a lot of people. I don't want to dwell on it because he's so young, but hopefully this is a learning experience that he'll, you know, come back from, you know, with flying colors. But right now, everybody's very disappointed in you, good brother. T. Rich, I think his little brother better than Keyshawn, in my opinion. It's going to take some time, but he needs to get away from Keyshawn to flourish. Possibly. I got to take a look at him a little bit more. I know the older brother, when we went to the fight last time, Bill, I didn't see what it, you know, as far as, because the crowd kept urging on to take the dude out that he was fighting, but the guy he was fighting wasn't that good, so he was able to do that. As far as his little brother is concerned, it's so early that I really wasn't paying attention like that to him, and he got the dude up out of there. Only thing I will say about the last fight, and even this fight, I was just gonna make sure that I got there after Troy Isley, because that dude right there, boy, put you to sleep. All right, very good. Man.
He did. He gave a good performance last night, though. It was decent. It was better than what he did before.
Look at this guy right here, man. He over there eating popcorn. You see the little belly he got on him right there?
Man, hey, make him into Bomac.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man. He learned from Bomac eating the Cheetos, man.
Yeah, man. This is my stuff. You right. You know what I'm saying? They got him over there. They got the Olympic silver medalist with his looking like Bomac right there. You know what I'm saying? De Los Santos got into it too. He said, "Enjoy your party tonight." Now it's DB1, not DB3.
You're right, because it went down to DB2. I'm like, DB2. Then, man, after the fourth round and they hear Albright fight, I was like, this is not going the way they planned it.
Nah, but also, man, I put a poll up, you know, the other day and to say who was going to win. Now, I was about to text you early before all of the tomfoolery, and I was going to say, man, I don't know. This is going to go either way, either De Los Santos. If De Los Santos is 100% and not rusty, he had a really good chance against Keyshawn. Because when I'm looking at both of their highlights, De Los Santos, that's a very evenly matched fight, and De Los Santos got some bricks in his hand. Now, one thing I will say is this. I think De Los Santos might have a weak chin, weak set of whiskers, though. And so I thought Keyshawn may be able to take advantage of that. Because when I saw him fight against my man that beat Pitbull, Valenzuela clipped him a little bit in an exchange and dropped him. And he was kind of hurt pretty bad off that shot. Now, I know Valenzuela got some power, but I didn't think that he should have reacted like that from the shot that he got clipped with. And so I thought Keyshawn might have been able to get him there. But as far as just overall skill, that boy got some stuff. So I put out there who's going to win, Keyshawn or De Los Santos. And this is before. And I think probably a little bit after the weigh-in. But a lot of people were leaning towards De Los Santos to win by KO, you know, as well. So shout out to those who participated there. Man, shout out to Abdullah Mason, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a young fellow. The way you should conduct yourself.
Man.
All class. You know, he's confident. He's a confident young man, articulate, thinks things through. He thinks about what it is he's going to say before he says it. And he's just not like a little jerk off. You know what I'm saying?
21 years old, too. 21.
21. Man, we didn't even get to what it is that we need to get to just yet. But I do want to say this to Keyshawn. No, you done messed up, right? No, you done messed up. But anyway, man. Anything else before we move on? Because that was a lot to discuss, man. That was a lot of information, and that's a topic of interest right now as far as people.
Yeah.
What about you, Ty?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man. I heard everybody got refunded pretty much, so like I think that was a good move by Top Rank to refund everybody that came up to see Keyshawn, but it didn't happen. So I think that was definitely good. That everybody got refunded.
Yeah, I was glad to hear that too. Like I said, I still had them 3 tickets available, but I was over there. I had a little date on Friday, and so the email, you get an email that say tickets are flying off the show. I'd tell you this: them Norfolk people are some last minute people, because they had me shook for a second. I'm like, damn, I might have to sell these tickets, cheaper. But then that Friday, everybody started purchasing, and I put the tickets a little higher than they were because it wasn't that many of them left. So I was like, if people really want the tickets, then they probably buy it a little bit higher. But last minute, man, they start coming in. Then old boy missed weight, but I'm glad I got the tickets off before that. But like you said, then I got an email from Top Rank. They said the main event has changed, so refunds are available for this event. So I was like, oh God, thank you. Also, Vale's Queen, Lakeisha Jackson. Miss Jackson says, yes, respect the Keon Davis and Abdullah Mason for being focused. Also, they pretty solid young men, with the exception of trying to whoop on somebody in the locker room as far as What did you think about Keon yesterday, Val?
I thought he did what he had to do, and as I think T. Rich was saying, that he might be better than Keyshawn. Well, up to this point, you see like he's a little bit more disciplined than Keyshawn. He went in there, man, got the dude out there hurt with a body shot. You know what I'm saying? It was, had the man crawling. So that was a good deal.
It was a good deal. Hey, man, I got 22 people in here, man. Make sure if you haven't done so, hit the like and subscribe button, man. We over there. We just got over 600. Ty is killing us right now, but we're going to make a comeback. Ty, I see you over there. But it's all good, man. Hit that like sub, though, for real, if you haven't done so already. Also, like I say, man, it looked like that was going to be a good fight had they locked horns, him and De Los Santos. We didn't get a chance to get that. But also this week, we don't want to have everything all negative. I do want to point out the fact that the great legend, Vasil Lomachenko, announces his retirement. Fellas, what do you, real quick, what will you remember most about the Matrix, man?
I remember, a highly skilled fighter. Sometimes he was undersized as he moved up to 135, but really giving it to dudes. Good footwork, good angles, sting in his punches. It wasn't like a one-shot hit or quitter, but he had that sting where he kept hitting you over and over again. He would get guys out of there, hurt bigger guys. Pretty good fighter. I know it was a lot. For me, I expected a little bit more, but seeing the totality of his career and some of the fights he did make, and of course the promotional issues because he was with Top Rank, but some of the fights he did make, he did take on some tough challenges, and it was certain fighters that wanted to fight him. There was certain fighters that wasn't keen on fighting him until he was older. So, but hey, hopefully he got out with his faculties intact. Much respect to you.
Much respect to Vasil. What about you, Ty? What you gonna think about? What you gonna remember about Vasil Lomachenko? His farewell.
Yeah, man, one heck of a fighter. He's the Matrix, man. That's why they call him that. His movement, his footwork. If I'm not mistaken, he retired a couple guys. I believe Nicholas Walters, the Cuban. So yeah, man, So he showed us, footwork. He had a great amateur career, hundreds of fights. Once he turned pro, he was already fighting on TV early in his career. So I think he really beat Devin Haney. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, awesome fighter. Like I said, man, good combinations, good footwork. They call it the Matrix for a reason. And I remember vividly the knockout that he gave to Richard Coney. So yeah, man, one good fighter, man. I hope he does well, in his retirement.
Hope he does well, but let's not, try to disparage Devin Haney with a little comment about him losing to the Matrix. We all know he won that lopsided decision. But as far as Vasyl Lomachenko, what I'm gonna remember is the movement. You know what I mean? The side to side, like he'd get on the guy's side, and then start punching him. Yeah, like you said, he was very crafty. You know, very highly skilled guy, man. But I will say this: that he is the most romanticized 18-3 fighter I've ever seen in my life. But you know, farewell to you, good sir. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you enjoy your retirement. But guys did, like Tank Davis, they didn't want no smoke with that man until he got a little bit long in the tooth. So, you know, shout out to Vasyl Lomachenko in his retirement. I know he had a couple of injuries that kept him from, you know, being able to continue to fight. Now, today is June 8th, man. June 8th. June 8th is a historical day in the sport of boxing. Fellas, do you remember any historical fights, not just the first week of June, but just June in general? Do you recall some fights that you've seen? You're like, man, that was in June when this happened. I'll take that as a no.
I don't recall any.
I'm going to show you a couple of these things, man. So this right here, on the 6th of June, my main man Tommy Hearns got stopped by dang on Iran Barkley. Did you fellas see that fight, man? That pained me.
That fight. Yeah. And he was winning. Tommy Hearns was winning that.
Oh, listen, man. He was hitting the man with body shots, and you can hear it. And it was just like, it was so bad. It's like when Tim Duncan, I remember him playing against the Knicks in the championship, and he kept hitting bank shots. And it was from some angles where you don't even have to hit. It's like, I'm just toying with you now. And he just kept hitting bank shots. He was hitting Iran Barkley like he faked like he gonna hit him in the head. Boom! And he kept doing it. But he did it one too many times. As soon as he went down to the body, Iran Barkley went upstairs and got him the heck up out of there. Salute to Iran Barkley, and also salute to Tommy Hearns, a Detroit great Crunks, probably the greatest Crunk fighter of all time. I don't think it's even a question. Also, June 7th, you had Arturo Gatti defeating Mickey Ward in a catch weight at 142 pounds. We know about the rivalry between the two. Also, June 9th, you had Larry Holmes. He defeated Ken Norton. Oh, man, that was a back and forth. I remember my father used to always give Ken Norton some flack because Ken Norton, before that fight, he was telling the fans what he was eating. I've been eating mashed potatoes. I've been eating bacon, and I've been eating a whole bunch of carbs and protein. He kept talking about.
Well, he's the most in shape carb eating guy I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was in some shape. But the fight though, on June 8th, we're gonna see a little bit about this. Do you fellas remember the Mike Tyson Lennox Lewis fight that took place at the Pyramid out there in Memphis?
Oh yeah, vividly I remember.
Talk to me, man.
Build up and everything.
Talk to me about your thoughts on that fight. Let's go take, as you mentioned that. Go ahead and talk to me, man.
Well, at the time, we know about Tyson now, but even then, he was looked at as still a threat. Where a lot of people, half the people I was talking to, probably even more than half, was saying everything's gonna knock Lennox Lewis block off his head. I know I've heard those words. I think I might want some money off this fight too, because I knew that Tyson just wasn't the same. You know, he wasn't as disciplined. You know, he came in. I think at this time he was about 245 pounds or something in that range. You know, so
Mike was never that big, man.
I think in this fight he was in about 240, 245. In this fight, he's 5'10".
No, man. Mike was never that big, bro.
I think in this fight, I had to check, but I do know he was kind of heavy in this fight, and also, I think it took place in Memphis because that was one of the only cities that would license him at the time because of his his past actions. But he knew he needed this fight. He needed the payday. He needed his one last hurrah. He tried in the first round, it didn't work, and Lennox Lewis just went to work, and he kind of, and that's why I don't like to down Tyson, because this fight is what kind of cemented Lennox Lewis as even who he is. Like a lot of people were saying, had questions about him until he took this fight, and he did what he had to do in dismantling Mike Tyson.
Both guys in their prime. Who you got?
I would have to go with Mike Tyson. I think Lennox Lewis was he's a great technical fighter, but also sometimes he can be an arrogant fighter too, and because of that arrogance, he's liable to get clipped, like what happened with Oliver McCall and also with Nassim Rodman. Two guys he probably could be easily, but sometimes he did be easy in the rematch. But that first fight, it's almost like he had a bit of arrogance to him, and sometimes that would cost him. I think he was a little bit smarter when this fight happened, but still, I think prime for prime, I think Tyson clips him.
I'm gonna have to push back, and I think that Lennox Lewis is a bad matchup for Mike Tyson, period. Because when are we saying that their primes are? So Mike Tyson, we remember him losing to. See, I think it's more so a style matchup as opposed to how Lennox lost. Lennox lost because of the fact he didn't take the guys that serious, and so he got clipped both times when he just wasn't really up for those opponents. Where if his antennas are up and he knows he has a challenge, then you're going to see the best or better Lennox Lewis. And I think the way Mike Tyson fights, that you're going to have an on-point Lennox Lewis, knowing that I can't get clipped by this guy. Kind of like he fought Tua. When he fought against David Tua, he was all business, and he was, making sure that he stayed out of the way. There's two ways you can go about doing it against Mike Tyson. He can do what it is that you see here, where he's just putting that jab on him and keeping him kind of like a George Foreman, pushing him back and then putting some real heavy shots on him, you know what I'm saying, when necessary, so he can do them like that, or he can box him. Mike Tyson don't like either one of them. So I would have to favor Lennox Lewis against Mike Tyson if they fought in their prime. And again, remember, this isn't Lennox Lewis' prime. This is slightly after his prime as well, because he just had the fight against Rockman, like the rematch, and then he got the Mike Tyson fight. So I think he got the chinks out of his armor in the rematch against Rockman. But he looked a little shaky early in this fight, but then he got his faculties together. What about you, Todd? Do you remember that fight, or you wasn't even watching boxing at that time?
Yeah, I wasn't really watching boxing at that time, but I would say that if it was prime for prime, I would have to go with Tyson, man. Like Tyson was just dominant, that era, late 80s, early 90s. But I think he definitely fought, Lennox Lewis a little after his prime, after he did his prison stint. So I don't think he definitely wasn't the same fighter, as the late 80s, early 90s. But if it was prime for prime, man, I would have to go with Tyson. But like Lewis is good, man. He had that reach. He he put those combos together. So it'll be a tricky fight, but I would just have to go with my gut would go with Tyson.
Let me ask you fellas this: who was the best win Mike Tyson had? Who did he beat?
Michael Spinks, I think, is the best win.
A blown up light heavyweight.
He was he was the heavyweight champion of the world at the time. He was undefeated. I mean, and even as close as those fights was with Larry Holmes, he still beat an all-time great twice. So this is still prime Michael Spinks, and he still had the Spinks jinx. So Michael Spinks.
Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you like this: Mike Tyson, his resume is whack, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to you, but Mike Tyson was dynamic. Don't get me wrong, but when you look back, he's fighting a Larry Holmes as old as I don't know what, who was off for about 4 years, and he come back, and then he beat who?
Larry Holmes was 38 when Tyson knocked out. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he was like a
38. You're right, Ty.
Yeah. But regardless, 38 back then isn't 38 now. Like back then, once dude got about 33, 32, then they want a downside. That's the way, like, if you look at Marvin Hagler, you'll be like, well, Marvin Hagler was in his prime. If you're thinking about like now, he probably would have been, but he wasn't in his prime when he fought Sugar Ray. He was in like his early 30s. You know what I'm saying? Dudes was getting busy back then, having all them dang on fights. So it's a little bit different, man. What I'm gonna tell you like this: Mike Tyson resume is it's leaves a lot to be desired. You know what I mean? I like Mike, but he wasn't messing with no Lennox Lewis.
I'm not gonna say that he fought the best available opposition at the time that he fought them.
Ain't nobody saying that. I'm just saying, who did he beat, bro? Like that's a whole different conversation. This a conversation about did he avoid anybody? I don't think he avoided anybody, but did he actually have fighters there? It's like Rocky Marciano. It wasn't nobody around that time. You know what I'm saying? He just caught an era where it wasn't that much smoke available.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that he his resume is an all-time great resume. I mean, it
No,
doesn't compare to somebody like Ali.
What I'm saying. No, what I'm saying is a
I'm
weak.
not-
It is. You said Michael Spinks. Michael Spinks, by nobody a stretch of imagination, could beat any of those guys. Like, because he was a smallish. He just caught Larry Holmes at the time when Larry Holmes on his last leg, and he was too quick for Larry Holmes. He catch Larry Holmes like 2 or 3 years before. There's no way he was gonna beat. I think that was common knowledge at that time. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's go ahead and keep it moving. Y'all over here trying to rewrite history, bro. We ain't doing that today. All right.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, him and Tommy Morrison never crossed paths, right?
Who was that?
Tommy Morrison.
And who?
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
No, they didn't cross paths. And Tommy Morrison was kind of like, see, he had one of those belts. I want to say like the WBO, but WBO is more recognizable now and more like a creditable belt. But at that time, the WBO really wasn't looked at like that. And so he was fighting dudes like Ray Mercer and all of them. Mike Tyson was kind of like gone by that time, or he might have been trying to make some comebacks against like the Williams guy out of the UK, but wasn't the same Mike Tyson. So it really wouldn't have made any sense anyway. He would have been caught catching Mike Tyson, who was really, really past it. You know, like I said, like the Kevin McBrides, he couldn't even beat some of them dudes after a while. You know, because that style that Mike had, that moving in fast and stuff, it only can last for a certain period of time. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson, to me, his prime was like 21, 22. After that, he wasn't even Mike Tyson anymore. All right, so let's go ahead and keep it moving. Let's not rewrite history. We got the great Lennox Lewis, probably like the 3rd, 4th best heavyweight of all time. I'm saying Lennox Lewis might have whooped on George Foreman and all of them. That boy was bad, man. It's no Lennox Lewis slander on this show right here. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe if you're still here. All right, recap. All right, fellas, y'all seen it. And Vail, we're gonna start with you, man. You was in the building yesterday. What was it like being there, seeing Abdullah Mason take on Nakatila yesterday? And Nakatila, he ended up he couldn't come out after the 5th round.
It's a little different when you're watching the fight live and on telecast. So this fight, I mean, it was like from what I saw, it was like 2 fill-out rounds. And then,
I'm interested to know who cracked under pressure though. Who was he talking about? But just let me know in the chat.
Like Mike Tyson, but
I tell you who cracked under pressure. It was them dang on Davis boys, man. They cracked us.
So after the 2nd round, Mason just figured out Nakatila just started going to work and body shots and head shots, and Nakatila was trying. He was winging it, but he was winging his shots a little sloppy. It went exactly like how we thought it would go, except that I expected him some knockdowns in this fight, and I expected Nakatila to get really, really stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking from someone in attendance, it was almost like at this point, even though we did get some good fights and they were exciting, the main event I wanted a beat down because I didn't get what I wanted in the Keyshawn Davis fight. So this fight was the main event. And when Nakatila couldn't continue, because you can't see these guys' faces up close, Nakatila couldn't continue. It was a little bit of a letdown. I didn't think he quit her and like he's a quitter, but it was a little bit of a letdown. But I knew he was taking some punishment. And then when they showed close up of his face on the big screen, you could see that he was getting a little beat up, getting a little touched up, but his eyes wasn't totally closed. So it left a little bit more to be desired. But Abdullah Mason, he was sharp. He got the job done. He did his job. He was on weight. He went in there. He beat up a opponent, that highly ranked opponent that's tough. They got power. Of course, Nakatila, he's easily, you can hurt him easily, in my opinion, but he has those firepower in his hands too, and he has an awkward style. So it was a good, win for Abdullah Mason.
So you wanted to see the man hurt.
I did. I felt bad, but I did. I mean, I did. I spent my money. I was sitting there, and I'm like,
So you want to see a gruesome fight? You want to see
I never want to see let me rephrase. I never want to see somebody get like seriously injured.
Man, to be able to go back to Nambia.
Because it's funny because Dr. Zila always remind me of some some of these cats that I know. Like, he seems like a nice guy. You know,
Okay, this is a family show, folks. So let's go to Ty because I don't want to hear about this savagery that Vail is talking about. So, Ty, what did you see from the TV screen, from the comfort of your living room?
Yeah, so I agree with Val. I feel like the first round was like a fill out round, more of a fill out round. But like after round one, I would say definitely in round three, Mason was starting to he was doing real good with that right hand, that straight right hand. He kept throwing that. But Nakatila, he wasn't backing down. Like you could see that after, Abdullah would throw his shots, he would throw shots back and he would try to counter, but he just wasn't as successful. But I believe he would eventually got stopped. Like I don't agree that they should have stopped the fight. I mean, his face didn't look too bad or anything like that. But I do believe that he would eventually got stopped. But yeah, Abdullah Mason, like I said, I was impressed with that straight right hand. He kept throwing, threw some stab jabs. Well, he made a statement. I mean, they made it the main event. He took advantage. He got the stoppage. So he solidified himself. And like I believe after a couple more fights, he'd be ready for a world title.
Oh, you think so? What does that power look like to you, Bill? Does it look like he's gonna be cracking once he takes on the upper echelon guys? Because he has a lot of knockouts right now. Or does it seem like some of those knockouts going to taper off a little bit because he's not as big of a puncher as it would suggest based on the opposition that he's facing so far?
I will be more inclined to go with the latter. I think some of those knockouts may taper off. How much, I'm not sure. But it wasn't like if he would have just been catching Nakatila and putting him down, I would have thought differently. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's an opportunity, where Abdullah, he's young, he's 21, he could pull other things out of his bag, like not every fighter, most fighters, their knockout percentage tapers off as they move up, so that's when they start digging other things out their bag. Like a great example is Miguel Cotto. He was knocking a whole bunch of people out, but you start pulling out things like footwork and his boxing ability and fights like with Shane Mosley that I never thought he would have done, So it's an opportunity for Mason.
Yeah, I don't know. I know he's looking to. You ever heard of Sam Noakes?
No, I've heard the name, and I think that it's being floated more now. since you look up Abdullah Mason, that name will come up. But no, I haven't seen it.
He looks a little slow right here, but I'm saying that to say he has power, and so that's who Abdullah Mason is seeking to fight for the vacant lightweight championship. If he just stays away from the powerful right hand, then he should be okay. Because Sam, like I say, he looks a little slow. But when you look at his resume, he has a puncher's resume in terms of the knockouts, right? So he's 17-0 with 15 KOs. But I think that was a good look. Do you think Abdullah made the right decision yesterday? Because he could have stepped in against De Los Santos, and they could have fought for the vacant belt, but he declined to do so. Do you think that was a good choice for him to do that, Ty? Or Vail?
I thought it would. I think it's too much to add. I get it. It's an opportunity if you step in there to fight Hector De Los Santos, and it's a bigger fight, and it pleases the fans more. However, I think that's a big ask to ask a fighter to change an opponent that late, especially an opponent he was training for. But now you're going to put him in there with somebody dangerous, and he hasn't had a chance to really examine that opponent and train for that opponent. I think that is something that I don't really like, and I think that's the right decision. That's in that instance, I think Abdullah Mason's team made the right decision.
Oh yeah, they made the right decision because again, for a world title, a situation like that, you want to be able to prepare and train specifically for that guy. So that was the right move on their part, especially against somebody like De Los Santos who has so much experience, even though he's young as well. But he's fought at the for guys like Valenzuela and people like that, and then also he's fought Shakur. And Westcombe just hasn't stepped up to that level yet. So if I'm going to take on a challenge like that, I want me a nice training camp to specifically focus in on you. So I thought the kid and his people made the right decision. Only people who do things like that is maybe a Bam Rodriguez. Yeah, mess around, do something like that. I'm also, man, Wardley, he knocked out a guy named, I think it's Hooney. You guys see that right there? Or no?
I did check that out, man. Worley was getting the business, man, for like 10 rounds. I mean, getting the business, like getting hurt. Like looking like he was gonna get stopped. It just so happens to come out of nowhere, a freak right hand that he threw when Hooney was throwing his punch, just happened to catch him and put him out cold. Like really put him out. Like, I mean, Hooney was conscious, but you could tell that he wasn't gonna get up in time, man. And
yeah, I think Hooney though, he kind of his stock rose, even though he got knocked out. And then I think that Wardley, his stock kind of dropped. You expected more from Wardley.
Yeah, I think Atama would get him out of there.
That's what I would like to see. I would like to see them dudes go at it, man. Let me see who's in that chat. I think I saw some movement down there. Oh, okay, Miss Jackson. She says I was there. The stoppage was too early. The crowd wanted more. Is that the Nakatila fight?
Yeah, Nakatila.
Okay. And then I like Abdullah Mason. He's smart. His career is on the right track. You know, Abdullah is somebody that you really can root for because he's so humble. He does things the right way. I saw him, signing autographs, taking pictures with the kids and holding babies and all of that type of stuff. So he's made of the right stuff, man. That's something.
He got a good team behind him.
He's an honorable dude.
And also, and I want to bring a comparison because right after our episode last week, it was weird because we were talking about Keyshawn Davis last week. Hyping him up, saying he's gonna do this, and we had I think it was two gentlemen that was there.
Oh, you fellas were. I was trying to.
I'll take it. I was, and we had the two gentlemen that was saying that De Los Santos was gonna.
Oh yeah, he was cooking y'all. Yeah, that was cooking.
It was cooking us, and it was proved right in some regards. So it's interesting that afternoon, right after that episode, I caught that interview with him. I think it was All the Smoke podcast. I'm gonna be wrong. It's the one with Andre Ward's podcast. So I was listening to that interview, and I'm, he always talks about Keyshawn Davis about being the businessman. But in that interview, he's like talking like a businessman. Like, I'm not trying to be in the sport longer than I have to. I'm thinking of other avenues. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to be a streamer. He was saying all these things, and he wasn't speaking. And I was like, is this interview just happened? Because he didn't seem like a guy that was preparing for a fight. And he seemed a little bit too cocky, like I'm here, I'm doing this, it's my time. I don't have to, put off that I'm taking guys seriously because they're not serious. And it made me just think, and it made me a little bit worried, like, man, is this dude taking this?
Well, here's the thing, though. I hear what you're saying, I'll let you land your plane. But the thing is, that's the upper echelon guys, man. That's what you appreciate about them is that. See, when they're on camera, they don't necessarily show that they are in mode of really preparing for their opponent. Like when you see him, it's like, dang, is he really training for this dude? Like you see Floyd Mayweather, he talking all this noise. Like you said the wrong thing, then he gonna get at you about whoever the dude is that they can't mess with him and stuff like that. He just had that arrogance about him that he was just too cold for everybody. But when you see him, he's all over the place. You'll see him up in the club, throwing money and stuff like that. But little do you know, as soon as he's leaving there, he's going to go train. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the perception, the persona. That's why I liked Ryan Garcia initially, because the kid, he would be doing all of this other stuff. But when I see him in the ring, he over there getting busy. You know what I'm saying? He landed that lethal left hook. That starts seeing that in Keyshawn. That's what really attracted me to him in terms of wanting to see him be successful. Because when I'm looking at him, even the last fight, I thought Lemos, well, that wasn't his last fight, but the last one that was in Norfolk, Lemos to me appeared to be a dangerous guy. But every time I'm seeing him, he's acting like this ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? This is a piece of cake right here. I got that. And so I thought that that was him just being himself this week when I'm seeing him doing different interviews and he's talking about different aspirations. He's talking about different goals and stuff like that, and not necessarily De Los Santos. You know what I'm saying?
You said a great point early on about Biggie Smalls. Like everybody trying to be like Biggie Smalls, like everybody trying to be like Floyd Mayweather, but they're not doing the type of things that Floyd Mayweather did. They just trying to emulate something off the surface, like Tupac. Everybody want to be like Tupac, but they don't want to do what Tupac did. Just because Tupac made 4 songs a night, you think you can do it, but your 4 songs is maybe one of those is nice, and the other 3 is whack. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or you hear that Biggie or Jay-Z, they don't write their lyrics down. You try to do that just to say, I don't write my lyrics down. I must be nice. No, you need a pen and pad, sir. You need a pen and pad. You need to think about your rhymes, sir, because you're not as nice. So some of these guys, they need to stop trying to emulate, talents that they don't have.
Right. Blaze Rap, Pound for Pound TV says Keyshawn thought he was A-side. He was. You know what I'm saying? He was a little too far with it. He thought he was the dang on. Yeah, man. See, the Floyd thing, it's okay, man. I can see you trying to do that. But when you start saying stuff like this, well, do you want to unify the belt against so-and-so or fight for a belt? And no, I don't want the belt. I just, because that's too many fees that I have to pay for it. Bro, like you're doing too much already. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that. No, man, they gotta reset, man. We need to reset this game. Dudes need to get their mind right. And it has to be about like the competition and who's the best. That has to be in your heart of hearts. All the other stuff is going to take, you'll get all the other stuff in return. And he was right there. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff that he was saying leading up to this promotion, I was riding out with this dude until he got right to the goal line. It's like he fumbled. He pulled a Seattle Seahawks against Tom Brady when they threw the pass in the end zone. It's like, dude, you got Marshawn Lynch right there, bro. Like, what are you doing? We did the same thing, man. So my boy Ty, you still here, good brother?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. Anything that we've been touching on that you want to go ahead. He said, R.I.P. Norfolk. I ain't gonna do all that.
No, let's not do that. We ain't like Cornflake said, we ain't doing that. We ain't gonna do Norfolk like that.
But he set them back, though. I tell you what, that man set that thing on area back. They had it. They had him on. They had a guy. Let's just say he goes in there, smokes De Los Santos yesterday. You got at least 4 or 5 more events that you can always bring, and that could be something like a traditional year-round thing that they have, and they building. Now you got dudes like moguls and stuff like that coming down there to this event that they're bringing down there. It could become more like he said. I'm trying to make Norfolk like an Atlanta, like a New York, like a Chicago, like a New Orleans. Man, that part of it, nobody's going to trust you, to be able to, come to these events like he had it all set up. And again, what do you think, though? So it says the A side is different when you already secured the bag. Keyshawn blew all the top ranked bread. You know what else he blew? It's opportunities to go with somebody like Turkey. Who's going to want to fool with this dude? You just fumbled a huge opportunity, good young man. Blaze, I don't think Keyshawn is high.
I hope he's not. I hope he ain't high.
He was over there eating that popcorn like he smoked some cannabis. Anyway,
we're over some bud, man. That's all I want to say.
What you think though, Ty? I don't want to neglect you, good brother. You over here.
No. I just wanted to say, I agree with my wife when she said, the stoppage was too early. The crowd wanted more. I agree with that because, like I said, the main event was, it didn't happen. So as Abdullah got moved up to the main event, I just felt the fans definitely wanted to see more action. But like I said, I didn't agree with the stoppage fully. But like I said, I do think that Nakatila eventually got stopped. So I think that the fight should have went on. But yeah, but far as the Worley and Huni knockdown, I didn't see the fight. But I just saw, the knockdown. But like when I finally turned it on, the fight was already over. They were talking, to the announcers and everything. But I heard Worley got beat bad, like his face, you could see it in his face. He was bruised up a bit. But like both guys threw a shot pretty much at the same time. But it looked like Worley's clip landed first, and he dropped Huni. It's a big shot though. So, but yeah, I missed the fight though.
That's all she wrote. You know, Nakatani, he ended up beating a guy named Nishida earlier to capture another belt. I would love to see, you know, people talking about him and the Monster. I would prefer to see him and Bam because he has so much offense. The dude is all offense, and he be throwing some mean punches. And he ended up stopping the guy that he was fighting. That was a world champion that he beat. But I would like to see that style against Bam and see, you know, how things transpire, how they play out. Because those two high level guys, I just think Bam has more that he can do. He's very slippery, use those angles. And I think that he will have the upper hand, but that would be a shootout right there. Did you guys get a chance to see Nakatani's victory? If not, we'll keep continuing. I just want to make sure I point these things out. Ja Opataya also won today. Now he wants to set the fight up with Zerto. So he says that Zerto had the stones to do so. The guy he beat he broke his jaw. You can tell, like, as soon as dude got clipped, he went down, took a knee. But I felt the pain of the guy because it's like he couldn't move like his mouth. Like he just sitting there. And Ja Opataya was trying to like console him, not necessarily like, you know, good fight, but he was like he just kept walking off and he was going to the corner. And he had his mouth open. But that was a good shot. Ja always fighting dudes I never heard of before, but hopefully we'll get that Zerto fight. Mickey Bay also returned. He beat Escadon in a brutal return. He's 40 years of age. You want to be one of the oldest champions ever. We'll go ahead and continue because I don't think.
Was that Oscar Escadon?
Yep, Oscar Escadon. But he's way past it.
Yeah. I can imagine. That's the same Oscar Escadon that Gary Russell Jr. beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a long time ago. All right, let's go ahead and go to the chat. So Blaze says, ain't no one investing in Keyshawn nonsense, pun intended. That's right. That time. Yeah, he's nice, man. Yeah, he got some offense. I don't know about that defense, but that offense is potent. He throws heat from southpaw. Yeah, both of those guys in that fight were southpaws, but that the dude couldn't get away from him. And he was trying to fight fire with fire. He just didn't have enough firepower for Nakatani. And a lot of people are not going to have enough firepower. Looks like a Zerto team and Benavidez team want to make the fight happen. Okay, so Benavidez is thinking about facing Zerto. That makes no sense because you got the titles at 175. Why would you go ahead? You know, you doing a Keyshawn Davis, you fumbling the bag. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, anywho, man, we got predictions that's coming up next week. I'd like to get you guys' opinion. Also, if you haven't done so, folks, don't be like the fellas down there in Norfolk, you know, messing things up for people. Let's go ahead and show an appreciation and hit that like and subscribe, not only to our station, but also Ties as well. And so now let's get into our prediction portion of the episode. Next week, you got a fight that's going to take place. I'm going to let you dudes cook on this, man, because I'm really disappointed in the fact that Richardson Hitchens is calling his opponent hyped up bum and all of this type of stuff, but you want to fight the hyped up bum. And so it makes no sense to me. Like, how can you promote a fight of someone that you say don't deserve to fight in the first place, but you want to fight him? Anywho, Hitchens is not much of a power puncher. He's from the umbrella of the cloth of the Haneys, the Shakurs, people like that who are outboxers, right? I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's his, that's the way he fights. He's 27 years of age, so he's in his prime. Long, 74-inch reach. He resides out of Manhattan. He's from Brooklawn. He's coming off the Liam Paro victory. Some people thought Paro was going to get busy and beat him, but he was able to win in a very impressive fashion against Liam Paro. He also had the not so good performance against Gustavo Lemos, who my main man Keyshawn, who whooped on him afterwards. And then you got George Kambosos. He's 22-3 with 10 KOs. He's 31 years of age, but he's a little older as far as his age. He's well on the downside. 5'9", 68-inch reach. He fights out of down under Sydney, if you will. And he's coming off the Lomachenko. I think he had a win, against Jack Wiley. Wasn't impressive, but it wasn't a close fight. But before that, he ended up getting stopped by Vasyl Lomachenko. So let me go ahead and stop talking so much and turn it over to you fellas. Who's going to win this fight and why?
I think Hitchens is going to win this fight. I think he's going to keep Kambosos on the outside. I think the style matchup plays more into for Hitchens. The way he fights, is Hitchens can box. I mean, he uses his reach and his jab. And Kambosos is not going to really force a fight. I mean, he's going to be Kambosos. Kambosos is kind of, to me, is like a overachiever. He got that win over Tio, but I'm not going to say he's a hyped up bum or nothing like that. But I mean, he's not that great either. So I think he's not going to really fight Hitchens in a way that Gustavo Lemos did. So I think Hitchens is going to win this fight comfortably. I'm not sure he's going to stop Kambosos. I don't think he has the power to do so. I'm not going to say he doesn't have the power. I just don't really see him, putting on Kambosos like that. I think it'll be a comfortable. It might even be a domination where Hitchens win every round. But I see a decision in this fight.
What about you, Ty?
Yeah, I agree with Val, man. I'm going with Hitchens by decision. I think he's faster. He's gonna show offense all night. He's gonna just keep tagging Kambosos. I can see Kambosos coming in and Richardson Hitchens. He's just gonna keep countering him, and I see him winning this fight comfortably, easily. Round after round. I think he definitely gets the decision. Now, like, neither guy are power punchers, so I'm not expecting any knockouts. But we seen Devin Haney beat Kambosos in his backyard 2 times, and I can see it playing out like this. Hitchens just tagging him all night and making his way to an easy victory. So I got Hitchens winning this fight easily. I'm not giving Kambosos a chance unless he just happens just to get lucky and catches Hitchens, but I don't see that happening. So I got Hitchens winning this fight easily.
Only thing I'm gonna say, fellas, man, make sure y'all holler at me next week. Let me know how it went. I'm gonna check the highlights out. I'm not watching this. I'm gonna watch the fight when the dude telling me that the dude he's supposed to be fighting isn't on his level, but you want to fight him. See, that's the other thing. Like, if you had to fight him because, dude, the mandatory and I got to take care of this mandatory and go and smoke this dude. That's one thing. But you are seeking to fight somebody who you saying don't deserve to fight you. Like, so I'm not gonna do that, especially when you in a weight class like this. So you got dudes like the dude you scared of, which is Matias. You scared of him. You also could fight some of these other guys where I don't even see Kambosos on here. So what are you doing, bro? And then these rankings are trash too. These hot garbo, bro. Like, how you gonna have Gary Antoine Russell #7 behind some of these dudes here, especially him? Like, Gary Antoine Russell will smoke Richardson. So let's cut the nonsense out. And that's somebody who he needs to be trying to fight. Again, it's no offense to him. It's just the mentality. I don't like that mentality of people who are trying to do the least to get the most. Nah, man, you go ahead and call out the best dudes, and then let the chips fall where they may. And if you end up being the last man standing, then we're going to go ahead and honor you as being that dude. Not sitting up here calling out dudes who don't deserve no opportunity to be facing you. And they passed their prime. He wasn't even couldn't crack when he was at 135. His claim to fame is beating the Teofimo Lopez, who came to the fight not focused. That's his claim to fame. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to George Kambosos, though. I don't want to come across as somebody who's being disrespectful. I'm not. I just don't like the fact of what the man said as far as giving him an opportunity when he's saying that he don't deserve the opportunity, that you got killers that's in your weight class that you could be fighting. Also, next week, you got Andy Cruz is going to be in action. I don't know if you guys want to touch on this. Andy Cruz is kind of old, man. I didn't know he was that old. 29 years of age already. But some people are calling him, like in the chat, I seen that fella. He said that I'm trying to turn this volume down, but he's saying that that's who Keyshawn need to be facing, his daddy, and that his daddy is Andy Cruz.
Hey, but you know what? Keyshawn Davis said he wanted to fight Andy Cruz, but I don't know how. After last night, I'm not sure if he's just being a businessman, but in that podcast with Andre Ward, he was saying that he claimed that his team sent Andy Cruz, some paperwork to sign on for that fight, and Cruz turned it down. That's what he said. I don't know if it was on that paper or not.
So here's the deal. He's not going to be able to fight him now because Andy Cruz, it wouldn't make sense because Andy Cruz makes 135. It looks like comfortable. So why would I go up to 140 to face you, you know? And if he was going to do it, it was going to be like now. See, now he's forced to, though. Like, Keyshawn don't have the leverage to fight somebody who is not like a top level guy if he wants to maintain like a certain status amongst the people. Now, what they could do is they could reset and rebuild him and then try to properly guide him. So when he does, or if he does get another opportunity again, he'll be more equipped and prepared for it because you kind of jumped some of the steps because we gave you those opportunities so early that you didn't have to go through anything. So now, voila, I got this WBO strap. And you can tell that even the limited amount of success that he's had so far, that is going to his head way too much, you know. And so again, if you want to go that route where you incrementally take a step-by-step approach, or if I still want to maintain the status of this dude who I say that I am, I only can fight an Andy Cruz. I only can fight a Frank Martin. I can't go any other direction. But Andy Cruz is going to be fighting this guy right here, 17-1 and 1 with 6 KOs. Not much of a puncher. I haven't seen the guy fight before. But do you think Cruz is going to come out on top in this one, Bill?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, the amateur pedigree, the boxing ability, I think it kind of will prevail in a fight like this. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with Andy Cruz from what I know about him.
Gotcha. What about you, Ty? You know anything about his opponent? If not, we can keep moving. I just want to, you know.
I don't know much about him, so I can't call it. But I just wanted to add, as far as Richardson Hitchens, I really did wanted to see him fight Montana Love. I don't think Montana Love is like one of the names to be mentioned now. I know both of them had a lot of back and forth on social media, but like Montana Love took some bad losses and disqualifications, so that's not a fight I'd be interested in seeing now. But at that time, I thought it was a good fight, but I still felt that Hitchens would have came out on top. Man, I like Montana Love, man. He just like he was good on the entertaining side, but as far as getting in that ring, it never showed. It never showed. So
yeah, I know you like Montana Love. I never saw like what was so good about Montana Love. He's like a little dude that once he fights somebody that get busy, then that's gonna be the last you hear of Montana Love. Now, you know, again, I don't want to come across again as somebody who's been disrespectful to a fighter, but he just seemed like one of those, that mentality that I'm talking about. But the thing I know most about Montana Love is when AB dry snitched on him, talking about Alicia Baumgartner being a chatty patty. He's like, man, keep me out of that, man. Yeah. But the Ben Whitaker interaction question of the week, man. So this week I decided, I saw that you do this every so often too, Ty, is that you put questions up, you know, to the supporters. And so this is the Ben Whitaker interaction question of the week. And that is, after last month's fights, and we're going to talk about how Devin Haney was attempting to get a fight with Teofimo Lopez. The fight didn't take place. It's not going to take place. It was set for about 1 hour, and then they kind of backtracked. And so I put a post out, who should Devin Haney fight next? Because I'm thinking about potential opponents. And I put these two guys over here, and I said, should it be Devin Haney or should it be Rolly Romero? Not Devin Haney, but Rolly Romero or Conor Benn. And according to this small little, window of people who chimed in, they're saying Rolly Romero. Do you think that would be a good idea for Devin Haney to take on Rolly next? Conor Benn. What do you fellas think if you were Devin Haney?
I would choose Rolly Romero over Conor Benn. Yeah, I think.
Why?
Because Rolly Romero, I think I think Conor Benn is outside of this. It would be like Devin Haney's first fight at like 147 officially. You know what I'm saying? Like as a full welterweight. And Conor Benn is a huge welterweight. This dude just fought at like middleweight. You know what I'm saying? I think that's too much of a size difference and strength difference. To me, Rolly Romero is Rolly Romero can catch you, but Rolly Romero probably around the same size as Devin Haney. We know he's gonna make mistakes, and he's coming off a big win. Whether Conor Ben isn't. And Rolly Romero has more. I think it's hard. It's interesting, but I think Rolly Romero's resume is better than Conor Ben's at this point. Even though they both.
I think it is better. Like
So Conor Ben is somebody. I would rather risk losing to Rolly Romero than Conor Ben.
See, you can't think that. See, that's the thing. You can't be
Conor
thinking.
Ben is not who you want to fight if you're trying to figure out if you want to be a defensive
fighter.
Trying to
figure things. So that's the thing. Devin Haney is not thinking like y'all think he's thinking. Devin Haney has a hit list, and he's thinking about all of the dudes who you think are good is on that list. Boots Ennis, Teofimo Lopez. Like, he's not thinking like y'all think that if I lose, I ain't even in a thought process. It's like,
Rolly Romero got a belt though. Conor Ben doesn't even have a belt.
So you have to look at this through the lens of who should I fight? Which one would be just a better fight for me financially, or whatever it is I'm trying to get out of this situation.
Rolly Romero.
Oh, okay. What about you, Ty? Who do you think, Dev? And before you even say it, Canelo Floyd's son, he says, did y'all see the tweets by Andy Cruz? He says Cruz said he sent Keyshawn Davis a weight loss plan. That is hilarious, man. Also, he says my ninja Tito Mercado knocks out Keyshawn. At this point, man, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say I want a young man to get knocked out, but I do want him to learn from this, and whatever it takes for him to learn, some appreciation for the sport, some character, things of that nature. I do want him, to taste whatever it is he needs to taste in order for him to move in a better direction moving forward. Keyshawn being on the BS is big news in Cuban boxing media. They be making all sorts of memes and be clowning dude. Yeah, I'm sure that they do. Because, it's kind of clownish not to even entertain the Andy Cruz fight now. Anyway, hit the like button. Appreciate you, Blaze. And then also Ty interacting with Blaze. All right. So Ty, what you think, man? Who would you suggest for Dev to take on next, man?
Yeah, I definitely gotta go with Rolly because I just feel it makes more business sense. Yes, Conor Ben is the bigger guy, but like you can argue that Conor Ben and Eubank had like a fight of the year candidate. I think that fight definitely took out a lot out of Conor Ben. So I can see him taking taking an easy fight, just taking a little easy fight, just to get back in the swing of things. But Devin Haney and Rolly, they both just fought on the same card, both came out victorious. But I will say Rolly, he may not be the biggest puncher to some people, but he does got some pop. So I can see him coming in there, trying to take it to Haney, but we don't know how Haney's going to fight. Is he going to be, gun shy and just dance around? No, I ain't going to say dance, just moving like he did, when he fought Ramirez. I don't know. Or is he going to come in letting them hands go like he did against, the likes of Kambosos, Lomachenko? I don't know. It all depends on what Devin's going to show up. But I definitely want to see him fight Rolly more than Conor Ben. But it's just like, yeah, what Devin Haney is going to show up. Is he going to show up, chin still, not wanting to get hit, or is he going to show up letting them hands go? That's the questions that I have in the back of my mind. But yeah, of course, I'm going to choose Rolly Romero.
Well, I think Devin Haney smokes both of these dudes. It's going to be a lopsided decision either way. So it really doesn't matter if he want to go and get some of that UK look. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they might be a little bit less finicky than the United States market. These dudes, this is how I know. This is how I know that it's whack over here. And we'll get to the subject of Haney and Teofimo Lopez, but dude, they had this one guy, Sergio, the snake, the Latin snake. He was trying to make excuses for Teofimo Lopez. And I'm going to get to the story once we get on that topic. But the way he was trying to make excuses is, see, people listen to that. And when they talk about 85% of people really are not, they don't have the ability to be critical thinkers. And so whatever is projected in front of them, they will accept that information because they feel as though they think that the person is telling them something kind of knows what it is that they're talking about. So they go with that narrative. the guy had to corner him in order for him to finally tell the truth. Again, I'm gonna get to that story in a second. When it comes to this right here, and with Devin Haney's situation, the one guy who's been honorable in all of these situations and scenarios is the one that gets ridiculed the most. Devin Haney and his father has to be looking at the sport of boxing, how Mr. Douglas on Green Acres views those people in that county. When he's going to the dang on grocery store, you got Arnold the pig who's talking, and he like, how, the pig is talking, but everybody else is talking to the pig. Then he goes somewhere else, and it's just like all this weird stuff going on, but they're looking at him like he the one that's crazy. He has to be looking at this situation like that because Devin Haney, like I said, is one of the most honorable dudes that we have who's still trying to do the right things. Yes, indeed. And then also Canelo, Floyd's son, says, besides all the clowning, I hope Keyshawn Davis, Keon Davis, and Troy Isley get their stuff together. Does Troy have anything to do with that? I think Troy is like an honorable dude. You know what I'm saying? They can make generational wealth or fumble it badly. You know, look at AB. All right. He says, I mean, that's a good point right there. You don't want to be that dude that coulda, shoulda, woulda dude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I had the people come in November of 2024. Everybody came down here to see me, young man. You over there like got your little can trying to get some money from people. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that dude who had the opportunity and fumbled it. We might see an apology from Keyshawn Davis coming, especially since he's an ambassador at Ring Magazine. Well, is it going to be an authentic apology? Or is it just something kind of like when Puffy came out with his apology after the Cassie situation? And then, you know, it just seemed like it was something for marketing. You know what I'm saying? Something to save his brand. Right. And we don't want that, man. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Be you, though. You understand what I'm saying? But it behooves you to come out there and apologize to the public because you got people like Vail that's down there in Norfolk or Virginia Beach right now. I was on my way, man. I sat up there, and what you did do, Keyshawn, you messed up my date, bro. That was a good matter of fact. The lady's from Norfolk. That's why I say they got some nice women down there. So I'm sitting there, no, baby, I gotta go because I get up in the morning, I gotta do this, I gotta run these errands, and I gotta get up. And then next thing I know, I come back. They talking about the fight canceled. Now I gotta go and shift gears. Now I'm trying to call her, like, no, you can come back now. You know what I'm saying? But it's too late. You over there messing stuff up, bro. Now, let's go ahead and get to the news. Anything else you fellas have before we go ahead and get to this news? Man, don't mess up.
I'm just gonna say, responding to Canelo Floyd's son, like I said, I touched on it earlier, but it didn't come from Keyshawn. It came from Kelvin. Like I said, I don't think that apology was 100% legit. Because like I said, he said the media try to twist things, but I know what I saw with my own eyes.
Yeah. Come on, bro. You can't be doing that. He don't even know how to apologize. Like, just apologize. Don't sit up here and still making excuses when you apologize. That's not an authentic apology. It's the only way in the news, man. You know, last week, Ty, we didn't get a chance to hear your thoughts on Jamal Charlo and then also Caleb Plant last week. What were your thoughts on the fight card last week? Were you surprised at anything?
Oh, man, I was highly entertained by the card. Great card from the first one fight to the last fight. I was highly entertained. Far as Mel and Maul and Cornflake, I agree that with the decision to stop at Cornflake, he went down a few times. He would eventually got stopped. You know, I mean, his face was messed up and everything. So it was a nice win for Maul to get back in the swing of things. You know, with the inactivity, everybody was questioning what his mental was. He looked big too. I would say that at the weigh-in, he looked like a little slim, but on fight night, he looked big and everything. So it was a good win for him. Now Caleb Plant,
like Larry Holmes, flabby and sick, but I'm listening.
Lamana always looked funny, man. He never looked like he really worked out or anything. But yeah, but Maul was a big dude, man. But yeah, as far as Resendez and Caleb Plant, Resendez, man, he took it to him, man. Like Plant, it just seemed like Plant just doesn't do well with like pressure fighters. Like we seen with, you know, Benavidez, he kept clinching and everything. The ref kept getting involved. But yeah, Resendez, man, I'm a fan of the guy, man. I'm happy he got the win. Plant just got to go back to the drawing board. But I don't see Plant as like, he lost all his big fights, got stopped by Canelo, lost to Benavidez. Now he loses to Resendez. So I think Plant, he's still a good fighter, but I'm not gonna say a gatekeeper or anything of that nature. But I definitely don't want to see that fight with him and Maul. Now, if he won, yes, but now I don't know. I still feel that he would definitely give Maul some trouble, but it's hard. Like boxing is so unpredictable, man. But it looks like the fans are not asking for that fight at this point. But all around, man, I was highly entertained by the card, and also the guy Yo-Yo Hernandez, man. I've never really seen this dude before, but I'm a fan of his. He put the hurting on Kyron Davis, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that guy fight some more in the future. Cuban guy, a lot of power, big dude. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him fight again.
Yes, sir. So Ian says Keyshawn beat up Albright with his brother. That's goofy stuff. Should face a penalty. Absolutely. I totally agree. And then my guy here, he says Young Bull Pete. She must be from Philly. So I got Maul beating Caleb. What about you? That's what I was going to get to as well. Thank you for that perfect segue, Young Bull Pete. What do you think, man? And make sure y'all fellas hit the like and subscribe button for both channels. What do you think? Who will win based on what you saw last week between Caleb and Jamal?
You asking me or Bill?
Dude, we talked about it last week. I was asking you because you wasn't on here last week.
Man, it's tricky, man. I honestly, I would have to go with Plant. I hate to say it, but I just feel like both guys had some inactivity anyway. So, but I just feel Plant is faster. But like I said, Maul looked big, man. Maul looked big. He didn't look as fast, but he still got the job done. So it's tricky for me, but I would just have to say Plant by decision. I just feel that he's faster, but it's tricky at this point. But my gut just says Caleb Plant at this point.
I could be wrong, but I think Vail would be leaning towards Maul because Maul is chin, power, and Caleb fades. Am I correct in that analysis, Vail?
I think there's some truth to that. I mean, I can see where it's kind of a 50-50, but for those reasons stated, I think Jamal is dangerous because he does have, athleticism. He's always going to be athletic regardless of how much, he loses in training. And also that he does have that chin. And Caleb, on the other hand, doesn't do well with pressure. However, I don't think Cornflake Lamata is a good, tune-up to be fighting Caleb Plant, though, either.
I think it might be, though. You know what I'm saying? Just to get in that ring, build that confidence, and get your wind back right. And see, the thing is, Caleb, I don't know, he has lapses where he constantly gets clocked with that right hand or a hook, and he doesn't respond well anymore to those punches. And so that's the reason why I think that it's always going to be dangerous, throughout the fight because his punch resistance. I don't know if it's like it was before. So Young Bull Pete says you said it correctly. Is that right, Young Bull Pete, man? You want to come on here, man? Let us know, man. I'm gonna put that thing in the chat for you. Always welcome. Because my man who came on here last week, he was getting that Shelton and Vail. You know what I'm saying? It looked like he turned out to be the victor in their little spat that they had. All right, let's go ahead and have a conversation then. So, Maul, with the performance that you saw, do you think that it makes sense what we see here as far as he rockets the number 2 in the super middleweight rankings? Is Jamal the second best super middleweight in the world to you fellas? Now, super middleweight is a little thin, with the fact that Benavidez left. It is rather thin right now. But what do you think? You think he's number 2 when it comes to the guys in the 168-pound weight class?
We have to, put a list up. But my first thought is I don't think so. I mean, beating that Cornflake Lamata doesn't really.
No, I'm just saying, not. So you keep putting so much emphasis on that.
That's the measure. The measure of your ranking is who you beat, right?
Well, you've seen him fight some other people in the past. It's just
like 5 years ago.
All right, if you don't mind, sir. So the thing is,
that's like saying Pacquiao should be number 3. You know what I'm saying? The welterweight division.
It's not. It's not saying that because you're seeing what he still has left in the tank, and based on some of the skills that he showcased, and you can also kind of look at what another guy, how they would look, and facing that version of Jamal Charlo, I can kind of take away certain aspects of, okay, if I put that version of Jamal in there with, let's say, for instance, a Christian and Billy, will I favor Maul or will I favor and Billy? I don't know. I wouldn't be willing to say that. I think Maul is better, but I think that guy's so big and so strong that he may wear this version of Maul down. So I can't really necessarily right now put him. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put him over him just yet. As far as Diego Pacheco, he's been too active. He's long. He's tall. That's a puzzle that Jamal may not be able to figure out because I haven't seen him face somebody like that. This guy right here, who they have number 3, I have no clue who he is. So then I go down to I messed up here, but I'm just saying I'm looking at it like that. I'm not looking at it like, oh, he just faced Cornflake, and so I can't put him at. I wouldn't necessarily not put him at number 2 because of that, but I would not put him at number 2 for some of the things that I'm mentioning. As far as Caleb Plant, I think, and I can't put you at number 2 until I see you face somebody that's in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? So Vail is being very truculent. When
you just said the same thing I said, though. You can't put him in there unless he beats somebody in the top 10. Cornflake is Cornflake top 10?
He isn't. But what I'm saying is this. If I saw Jamal come back, and I'm saying I can't do it based on that performance. If I seen him come back and he looking like dynamic, then I might be able to be like, oh, okay, Maul will go ahead and get busy on these dudes. But just based on that performance, I can't do it. But I'm not just looking at it like it's just one brush approach. It's just that with that performance, he beat Lamana. Okay, cool. But when I'm looking at him, in reference to some of these other guys, it's still questions there. But if I saw him come in there and he looked spectacular, then I might possibly do. Because some of these dudes aren't spectacular, and they wouldn't be able to do something like that. But anyway, I'm listening. So let's go ahead. He's been truculent, Ty. So what do you think, man? Would you have him at number 2?
No, I can't really put him there because, like I said, man, there's still been some inactivity, and like Vela said, beating a Cornflake doesn't put him there. So I'll say give me one more fight, and then I can side that. But Andrade is 160, correct?
Yeah, he just went up there. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think he's at 168 now.
So I mean that's a fight. Even though he lost against Benavidez, he's still showing the inactivity that he had before fighting Benavidez. So I mean that's a fight that I would like to see at 168, even though he lost. But I don't know what Andrade's doing. I mean, he's not even on his list. So, but that's one fight. Or if not Andrade, he can fight Resendez. Caleb Plant came up short, so why not fight Resendez? But I would just, for some reason, I just wish Plant had won because, like I said before, man, I just can't get over that slap, man. He got to get that. He got to get Plant in the ring and get that back for that slap, man.
Young Bull says he stay active and focused, he'll be a problem. I agree, Young Bull. Love, what's up, Shane? He says salute. Okay, we got the link in the chat for you, man. If you want to stop through, share your thoughts. Anybody that's in the chat, man, come here, holler at us, man. It's all good. We talk back. Let me go ahead and go to the next one. So Maul, I think, is universally speaking that he probably doesn't deserve to be number 2, but if he stays active, he'll certainly get there. But he's 35 years of age, so he's on this fast track to do whatever it is he's going to do. Also, Joseph Parker eyes a Derek Chisora trilogy on the Usyk Dubois 2 undercard. Do you think that that's a smart move on Joseph Parker's part? You would be real quick with these topics right here.
Smart on Joseph Parker's part, not smart for Derek Chisora.
And why?
I think Derek Chisora I don't want to see him take any more punishment. I really don't.
He does, though, sir. He doesn't mind it. He wants to go out.
That's the part that scares me.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ty? You think that this is a good idea?
No, absolutely not, man. Chisora's a journeyman, and Parker's been making a name for himself, beating all these big names, beating Wilder, beating who did he just beat? Martin McCauley. He's beating all these good names, and like Chisora, man, I call him the Gabe Rosado of the heavyweight division. Like he just can't give it up. He obviously loves what he does, But like, come on, man, Chisora is a journeyman, man. Like, of course, he's gonna fight his heart out, but I'd rather see Parker in there with somebody more credible.
Well, who would that be? You don't want the man to get some easy pickings. Then what you want him to do?
Yeah, it's tough because he was supposed to fight Dubois, but of course you should pick Dubois, so they're having a rematch. He beat Zhang, he beat Wilder. I don't know, man. I see Effie Ajaba on there. Him and Bacoli had a draw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you could take the guy. What's the guy named Kabaya? If I'm saying it right.
Why would you do that? That's a dangerous fight. You'll never get what it is you're trying to get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man, but Chisora, I just prefer not to be Chisora, but like if he doesn't have any options, if nobody's willing to sign a contract, okay, run with Chisora. But it's just a fight I wouldn't want to see.
Nah, but now it makes sense. Like when I'm looking at the options, because you don't want to mess around with no legit. Like that dude right there, that's gonna be a tough fight. AJ's not gonna fight you. Herkovich,
he came up short, didn't he?
He did, and so it really wouldn't even benefit you. So you might as well fight your sword as opposed to Herkovich, because y'all do have some type of storyline because it's a trilogy, and then is you just staying busy and then waiting for the winner of the main event, and you can fight them next and just say I was on that fight card, so on and so forth. And then
I like Kabay, though, man. I like Kabay. I mean, it may be a dangerous fight, but Parker's proved himself, man. He's fought all the big names. He's been on a nice win streak. So why not take on a dangerous fight against a heavyweight that's going to bring it to you? That's got pop. I mean, Parker's always getting the job done, passing his test. So I mean, I'm cool with it.
Fabio, based on what I saw today, man, I don't know. He don't really look. To me, he's very, very beautiful. But I would rather see Atama and Fabio fight against each other, but I'm sure that they probably would prefer to face each other if it was for some type of belt. But we'll see. It looks like that's the direction that Joseph Parker's going to go into. Now we're going to get to the goodies, man. So earlier this week, Vail was excited. I'm on the treadmill in the morning. He sent me a message from Ring Magazine. Teofimo Devin signed a 145-pound catch weight for August 16th, which is supposed to be the same day as the Lamar Roach and Tank Davis fight. But anywho, so I'm like, oh man, that's good. So I'm looking around to see if it's actually legit. So it was. They were saying that the fight was all signed. It was a done data. Later on, when I get back, so I jog upstairs and I come back. By the time I get downstairs and I look on Fight News 24 or Boxing News 24, they talking about Haney Lopez. The fans are fearing a boring fight and low entertainment value. Who gives a care, man? Like can't we just get the best dudes fighting the best dudes? And if it comes out to be a boring fight, it's a boring fight. But can they get in the ring and let's not sabotage the dang on event? I was already mad. Then later on in the day, De La Hoya, he started praising Teofimo for avoiding the runner, Devin Haney, after failed negotiations. So come to find out, they declined to take the fight. Who do you blame the most in this situation, in this scenario of the fight not taking place between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney? Start with you, Phil.
It's Teofimo Lopez. I mean, look, if that was the case, if they were so concerned about this, why they even negotiate and sign a fight?
About what are they concerned about?
This being a boring fight. Then why are you signing it for? Like, what's your purpose? Like, how do you get to negotiations and a fight getting signed? It doesn't just happen overnight, and it's just not that quick. So if it does happen, thought was put into it. So if all this thought was put into it, what made them change their mind? It can't be what they're saying, and you can't tell me right now that this De La Hoya that we're seeing is not some type of clone or something. This is not the same De La Hoya that fought Ike Cortez, fought Fidel Whitaker, fought Macho Camacho, Chavez, Tito. This is not the same Mayweather. This is not the same De La Hoya. This got to be a clone or something.
Well, he's on drugs, sir. What about you, Ty? What do you think? Who's at fault here? Who's most to blame?
I honestly don't know, man. Like the fact that the fight got announced and then it was announced that it wasn't taking place. I think maybe there was just some some miscommunications on both sides with the fighters, with the promoters. So I honestly don't know, man. I say everybody. Everybody's to blame for this. Like I sit between the promoters, man, because like, how does a fight get announced and then get called off that quick? You know, in like a 24-hour time period. So I honestly really don't know. I have to look more into it, but I just think it has to more to do with everybody involved.
Shout out to this Hambucks right here, man. I made a good cup right here, man. Real delicious. But also I want to shout out the supporters. I just did this the other day. So the Teofimo Lopez, Duck Devin Haney, 100%, yes. And I think that 100% is accurate in this situation. I'm gonna go to the chat. Salute Shane. I saw him there for a second. He stepped away. True boxing needs to be put back on the map. That's right. And then Irvin Mack says, like button smash. Thank you, sir. Also hit that subscribe button to the channel, good brother, man. I certainly appreciate that. But let me go ahead and tell you what it is that I know. See, here's the thing. These dudes are scared to lose to Devin Haney, fellas. This is see, they can take losses to anybody else. Teofimo scared to lose to Devin. You got Tank scared to lose to Devin. You got Ryan Garcia, who took PEDs in order to fight Devin Haney, came in overweight in order to gain an advantage over Devin Haney. For some reason, they are more than willing to lose to anybody else than Devin Haney. This is 100% on Teofimo Lopez. Let me tell you this, fellas. Anybody who, for one, he's making a record amount of money for him. That would have been $11 million. He was supposed to get $20 million if he was going to fight Boots. So Turkey said, well, I'll give you 11 to fight Devin. That's the reason why he was going to take the fight in the first place. Then he comes out and says that he's not going to take the fight because Turkey and Devin are cool, and that's his guy based on Islam. And so he thinks that he has to knock out Devin, and if he doesn't knock out Devin, he's going to lose. Well, fella, so what you saying is you got something against Islam, right? You two fellas knew when you fought against Vasyl Lomachenko that you were on an uphill climb because Vasyl Lomachenko, wasn't he really the guy for top rank? You're doing the same thing. But really, I don't see that being a factor. I see more so most of the fights, with the exception of Shiraz, that was the only time I was questioning like a decision that they had over there. But to me, that's not an excuse to not fight somebody. A lot of times, you fighting, you got like, I got to make sure I win in a decisive manner against this opponent. Both of you guys did that against Vasyl Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? So for some reason, you are worried about losing to Devin Haney. He's talking about Devin is going to run. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. So they're going to give him the decision. Nah, man, that's you not cut from the right cloth. You fought other dudes for less money. And he's talking about I'll fight Richardson Hitchens in New York. You might get $1 million to fight Richardson Hitchens in New York. And nobody wants to see that. How do you go from being able to get $11 million to possibly getting $1 or $2 million to fight somebody that nobody cares to see? It makes no sense outside of the fact that you ducking this dude. The last thing I'm gonna say is this. That's why I mentioned the Latin Snake the other day. He got cornered by Mannix. He kept saying that defending Teofimo Lopez ducking. He was like, well, why would he want to face the runner? Why do you want to do all this? I wish I could play it for you. So Mannix is like, he's gonna get $11 million to fight this dude. Like, he's not ducking him. And he kept saying that he wasn't. And so eventually he finally admitted, is like, yeah, he just feels like he can't beat Devin Haney. So he's ducking him then, right? I don't get it, fellas. Like they do everything in their power to try to downgrade Devin Haney, with the exception of saying, let's fight. And so, yeah, he's ducking him. And it's unfortunate that we in a sport that's allowing these things to transpire, that's allowing these things that happen. And we're not honoring those who are the most honorable. And like I say, to me, Devin Haney is one of the most honorable guys in the sport of boxing. And he's been that way. Tim Bradley is saying, he's saying the stuff that some of you fellas were saying as far as he needs to get his mind right. How is he going to perform? Does he have PTSD after the Garcia loss? But you are conveniently ignoring that Ryan Garcia did test positive for a performance-enhancing drug. And then Tim Bradley is talking about, well, when I fought Marquez, I was coming after the Bavotkin fight, and I went in there and I fought. Marquez was 40 years old when you fought him, though, right? It's a different situation when you fought Marquez. When you fought Bavotkin, whatever his name was, he wasn't coming in on PEDs. You just chose to fight a stupid fight. That's different. You got whooped with somebody who just had they two hands. They got normal things in their blood system. You're not fighting somebody on PEDs, brother. So you can't. That's an apples to oranges type situation. And what you're doing, you raccooning. That's what you be doing. And I'm gonna keep going, man. Anyway, fellas, what do you think about this fight that's gonna take place on the Tank Davis undercard between Fulton and O'Shaquie Foster, man? Who you got in this one, man? You got Fulton, who is 23-1 with 8 KOs, 30 years of age, 5'6.5". And then you got Foster, who's 23-3 with 12 KOs, 31 years of age, a little bit taller. And then Fulton be coming up in weight. You think Fulton got what it takes to go ahead and take O'Shaquie's belts?
I think he's talented enough. However, I think, man, you just moved up a weight class to featherweight. Now you're moving up again. And this is against someone who was huge for the 130. So I think that's going to be, even though I think Fulton is more skilled, more talented. I think Foster, that size and what Foster brings to the table as far as that tenacity and wanting to win, that could serve him through. The only problem with Foster is he's a type that he fights to a certain level. So I can see him, fighting to Fulton's level and not winning the fight. So for that case, I would lean towards in Fulton's favor, even though Foster has the ability to beat him.
What about you, Ty? Who you got? And then Ben Israel says Shalom. Then you got Ty. You talking to Mac, and then it's done. Thank you, Irvin. You want to come through, talk to us, man? You're more than welcome to do so. I'll put the link in the chat if you want to do that. If not, we happy to have you here. Damn sure it did. Yeah, he did. Young bull. Devin came in overweight versus Regis. Nah, he didn't, sir. He didn't come in overweight. Send me the link that says that.
No, he never came in overweight. Devin Haney made 140. Everybody like to say that overweight stuff because he gained some weight, but 36 hours after the weigh-in. That's not a weigh-in 36 hours after. That's your fight night weight. What you weigh in the night before, that's what you weigh in. And he made that weight. Devin Haney has never failed a weight cut.
No, that's why you got to respect him, and that's the discipline that he has. Even when he was struggling, he was saying that he'd stay at 135 to get certain fights, and then once he got the fights and he couldn't get the fights, then he decided to move up. But no, he never did that. He always showed professionalism. Urban Max says T.O. has black man problems in his life. Yeah, they got in more ways than one. Urban Mac, I'm still me too, brother. Devin is a good guy, man. I got scooted by decision. I can see that. What about you, Ty? What do you think is going to happen in this one right
here? Yeah, I like the fight, man. Both guys, got past the rematches. Fulton, he beat Figueroa, and Fulton got past Constantino, or however you say his name. But it's a good fight, man. But I just feel that Fulton has more of the dog in him from what he's showing me in his past few fights. Like we seen
than Foster. You got more dog than Foster.
I think Cool Boy got more heart in him, more dog than Foster. That's just my opinion. Like we seen Cool Boy. We seen him get dropped, get back up, dust himself off, not lose his composure, and keep taking it to his opponents. He made easy work of Figueroa in the rematch, but I see this fight. Neither guy are really power punchers, so I see this going to decision. I see both guys having some moments, just trading shots, trying to get the best of each other. But I just think Fulton has more heart. He has more dog, and that's going to make him victorious and come out, with a decision. But I don't see any knockdowns in this fight. I definitely see it going the distance, but I think the decision definitely going to go to Cool Boy. I like the fight though.
That's interesting that you say that you think Fulton has the more dog, because that's what I associated. That's what I associate O'Shaquie with, is having that heart and determination. Because I've seen some fights where he was down and then he'll end up, digging deep in order to get those victories. I just don't see the same level of skill. I think Scooter is more skillful. Is he biting off more than he can chew as far as the weight and the size and the length? Because O'Shaquie, even though he's 5'8.5", he's a long 5'8.5". Also, he's somebody who fought at higher weight classes and moved down to this weight that they're going to be fighting at. So that's going to be interesting. That's where things get kind of close, And I think Figueroa in that last fight, Figueroa is one of them dudes, So I live a pretty clean lifestyle Monday through Sunday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday, you might catch me, having a little tequila every now and then, But I think that my main man, Figueroa, it's the opposite, where he had this tequila all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so when he fought against Cool Boy, he just looked like a shell of himself. Like that didn't look like the same Figueroa, as it did before. And he doesn't have the same advantages that he did in the lower weight class, where he just was too big for guys. And so I don't know what to make of that win that he had against Figueroa. And O'Shaquie isn't as talented, but he's not as limited as Figueroa. He does have some things that he does. He got a nice jab, 1-2, when he's at his best. But I think Cool Boy will be able to mitigate some of those things. It's just, will he be able to reach him enough in order to pull off this victory? It's going to be an interesting fight, but I smell 12-round decision all over it. Young Bull says, how do I get to come up there, fellas? I'm going to go ahead and put the link in here for you as well. Okay. Boom. Let's go ahead and keep it moving, man. So you got Moses Atama. Him and Dillian White is going to fight August 16th. Is another big day in the sport of boxing. Do you fellas think that Dillian can pull this one off, though, against the young upstart and Moses Otama?
Man, they need to stop giving Dillian White these type of fights, man. I don't want to hear about Dillian White in any fights that's dangerous, period. That dude should get an easy opponent, get his money, and get out, period.
So that's a no?
No.
Okay. All right. What about you, Ty? You think he got a chance against Otama? Otama, really, his resume is kind of thin.
I think Otama is definitely the fresher fighter, has more to offer. White's been, in there with the best of them. He's been in there with Ferrer, Anthony Joshua. So I think White has the experience on his side, but, he's fighting a guy that's hungry, got a lot of power. So I think it's going to be a challenge for White, but I'm just going to go with the guy coming up. I'm just going to go with Otama. But like I said, White's experience could give Otama some problems. I don't know. Like, is he going to gas out? Is he going to have the energy, to do this for 12 rounds? I don't know. So, but I like the fight, but I'm going to go with Otama.
Yeah, I think right now he's just a little too spry for the old fella. You give Dillian White a little bit of that juice up in him, he might be talking about something. But you talking about the Dillian White that I've been seeing lately, nah, you can't mess with this young buck. It's too much. It's like I saw Antonio Tarver, even though Whichcomb is not as old as Antonio Tarver. They talking about Antonio versus Jake Paul. And Antonio's like, man, I'm too old for these young dudes. He said, I can't do somebody that much younger than me. I don't think I can beat them in anything. He said, if the money's right, then I might mess around with it. But I just think Dillian is at that stage where somebody that young, that much quickness, reflexes are on point like that, it's going to be ugly. You know what I'm saying? And what it could do, though, is allow Dillian to know that I'm done with the sport of boxing because I can't handle this. This really is going to be a detriment to my health if I continue, staying in the ring trying to fight these young bucks. Now, maybe he might get a Anthony Joshua fight afterwards, but this right here is where the buck stops, with this young, talented pugilist. Last but not least, Phil, that was the last topic of the day, man. Any thoughts that you fellas have as far as the weekend is concerned that you want to share before we get up? I'm heavy this week, Val, on the R&B. You understand what I'm saying? I was with it. I told you I had that date the other day, and my heart started to palpitate a little bit. So, I've been listening to a lot of '90s R&B. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking it back even further than that. So I'm just might be mindful of that when we go to our last topics. When it comes
I feel like I had a bass in your voice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like even not now. See, we're gonna go on another date, and I think next time when we go, I'm gonna be talking like Barry White. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, the DJ Will.
I'm gonna come through with the Colt 45 like Billy D. Williams. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, go ahead. Any thoughts on this past weekend, good fellas, man? Like, what was your good, the bad, and the ugly of this past weekend?
My good was, I went to the event. It was actually some exciting fights, man. Like most of the card was exciting. The crowd was okay. Norfolk always, the energy is always there. So that was good. The bad, all the fight changes and stuff that was going on as far as the main event being, canceled. The ugly is seeing a fighter that, that was shaping up to be one of my favorite fighters, and I was counting on to be my favorite fighter in this era. So much potential. Relegated to like fighting someone, getting in somebody's face backstage for simply winning a fight, which is that's just I don't know. That's something that that's past just liking fighters. That's personal. Personally, I don't like people that do that. So yeah, that's ugly.
What about you, Todd, man? What are your thoughts on this past weekend? What's the good, the bad, and the ugly for you?
I guess the good you could say, like, we had another big fight right in Virginia, which is just one state over, you know what I mean? That's a couple hour ride for me. So it was cool to, to see a big fight, one state over. The bad, definitely disappointed in Keyshawn for a few reasons, of course, not making weight that much over. Getting in Abdullah's face, then the stuff he did backstage, fighting Nair Albright, and then also eating the popcorn and all that, having fun, after you just disappointed all the fans. So, but the good thing was, the co-main, they made that the main event. It was a stoppage, so you still got that part, but we just got to see going forward. What's going to happen with the brothers? Are they going to get fined? We already know that Keyshawn got stripped of his title, but we got to see how it's going to play out going forward. But yeah, man, I hope this can be definitely a learning lesson for Keyshawn. I know he's lost a lot of fans, but let's see how he's going to make up for that. How he's going to respond to all this criticism he's getting. So those are things just to see going forward. But I'm more disappointed than I was happy. So I would say for me, it's more of an ugly weekend.
Two things, man. For one, my main man, Urban Mac, he's saying, why did Keyshawn crash? Any one of you fellas want to answer that for him? Why you think Keyshawn?
I'll say this. I think it was emotions. Okay, I think maybe the fact that he didn't make weight. Well, he probably knew. He knew that he wasn't going to make weight, but the fact that his title, he was stripped of his title. That was a blow. Then to see his brother lose, that's another blow. And I just felt like emotions, or maybe he still has some street in him. Oh man, like this guy's in my town. Let's go back there. Let's start. So I think he still got some streets in him. You know what I mean? So maybe he's still young. So I think he just got a lot of growing to do. You know what I mean? He's still young, but he got to learn how to, control his emotions better, especially when the spotlights are on you like that. All eyes on you. You the champion. This is your hometown. So I think the streets were still in him, but he just got some growing to do. That's all.
Yeah, man, that's what integrity is about, man. Even when the cameras aren't on you, are you still doing what you're supposed to do? Now, if I was going to add on to what you're saying, this is what I think potentially may have been going through his mind, right? Because I think all of this, the weight of this event, and he has everything set up. as far as afterwards, everybody's coming to party with him for his victory, his brother's victories. I think in his mind, after he started hearing those dudes celebrating, that he's thinking about, okay, I don't want to have them have an upper hand on us when we go out here to our event. So when dudes approach me and we supposed to have this festive moment celebrating DB3, one of my brothers takes an L. I didn't even fight or whatever, but I think he can live with him not fighting because he didn't lose. And so I think he was okay with that. That's why you saw him at the event being so comfortable with not losing the fight, because that's something that he just didn't want to have to experience, right? But he didn't want the Albright guy, his team, to have one up on him. Let's say, for instance, Albright decided to go, or people just talking about, his brother losing, that he can have the one up by saying, yeah, we got that old boy in the locker room. I did this or I did that to him. And so he can say that and still feel like he has his chest poked out. That's that ignorant type mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's unfortunate. And you can't really be a king doing like that little peasant type stuff. Like, it's just not going to work out. And Albright, if I was him, it ain't like he has the right to sue. And I think that's what his people are going to do, is they're going to probably even get some more money out of him. I know the guy, so I run my errands on Sundays. One of the guys that I see in the morning, his niece is married to Keyshawn. And the way he talks, I'm not going to go into details. He messed up bad. You're not getting a payday, and you might even come out of more money because you're getting sued. This might be the end for this dude, man. This might be like a domino effect, of some bad things that may transpire in the future. Daniel Penny says that thug needs to be in jail. I can see that. I mean, you're a fighter, man. You can't be just over here attacking people. Daniel, man, anybody else, man, if you haven't hit that like and subscribe, make sure you do so. All right, is that it, though, Bill, as far as your thoughts on this weekend?
Yeah, that's it. I got it all out, man.
Well, I got one last thing before I go to my R&B. Have you seen anything worse than this? Like somebody who was so promising, in terms of breath of fresh air, like how it went in the opposite direction so quickly. And then just all of the events, like I said, first off, you talking spicy to Abdullah when you already know you coming in overweight. Then you actually come in overweight. Then once you come in overweight, you show no remorse. I was going to move up anyway. Then after that, the fight is canceled. Then when you have to fight again, showing no remorse again, eating popcorn, laughing, having a good old time. Your brother lose. Then you over there jump somebody in the locker room. Have you ever seen something like, and it's playing out on ESPN? Like, we're seeing all of this.
I haven't seen it all at once like this in a day. Now, we did see, Tyson's career take a turn fast, but it wasn't like this. This is all like, every single one of this is like a decision that Keyshawn Davis made in a span of like 24 hours. Like, literally, like you went from one of the best victories you would have had to like possibly top rank dropping you and getting sued. Like, that's just, it's almost like self-sabotage. Like, you sabotage your own career, and it's sad. It's very sad.
In your years of watching boxing, Ty, have you seen anything like this?
No, I don't think all at once. I've seen it, but not all at once. Like, we've seen fighters come in and not make weight all the time. I don't know, like this much. I can't remember who Gabe Rosado was supposed to fight one time, but I think his opponent came in like 12 pounds over the weight limit. So we've seen fighters come in.
Remember Zorro did that one time.
Yeah, so we seen this, but we also seen fighters try to make the weight. I named Sean Porter. He didn't make weight one time. They say somebody cut off his braids. He made the weight. So we seen no fighters not make weight. Okay.
And Ty, you seen dudes who didn't make weight, but they doing everything they can to try to do it. You understand, like, nah, he's just too big. Like Eubank the other week. Like we saw him, he looked like he was like a walking zombie.
Yeah.
We've seen that. And so, like I said, it's just like remorse. But I'm gonna let you land your plane, sir. I'm my bad.
Now you good. As far as fighting, I mean, I can't think of anything on the top of my head as far as backstage, but I know we've always heard about fighters arguing backstage and what, but we have seen fights happen in the ring, like right during the fight. We take the Zab Judah Mayweather situation after the low blow, hitting the back of the head and all that. Zab gets fighting, his dad jumps in, all that. But we've seen some of this, but I don't think we've seen this much at one event. So I think this one definitely takes the cake.
Yeah, man, we've seen it before. Different situations. Do you remember the guy who, Vale, do you remember that fight when the guy ended up punching the guy right after the fight was over with?
Yeah, I do remember that fight, and he ended up getting banned. Yeah, he walked over there, his hands are still wrapped. He hit the dude in the jaw for winning. Yeah, that was Max. Yeah, James Butler. And I want to say that didn't he end up killing like Max Kellerman's brother or something like that?
Correct.
Something weird like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Max took him in. Yeah, so you've seen like you say. So as far as missing weight, we've seen guys do that. But 9 times out of 10, when a dude misses weight, they have more tact, in terms of them showing like a little bit of remorse, right? Also, we've seen people, I don't necessarily say get jumped, because normally boxers, so they're not really jumping anybody. They just might fight somebody. You seen Larry Holmes, Trevor Burbick, situation, Mike Tyson, him and Mitch Blood Green. So I'm not like, if you just take each incident isolated. Now, I don't care who you are. I don't like somebody jumping anybody just period, let alone a boxer. They're just soft to me. You can't, in all of these situations though, too, this shows a lack of a male figure to me, because you're trying to get over in all of these different situations. You try to get over on De Los Santos by coming in overweight, making him, drain himself so you can have an unfair advantage there. You're trying to have an unfair advantage against the guy who beat your brother, where you can jumping him. You know what I'm saying? Like everything that you're doing is conniving, is sneaky, is deceitful, is underhanded. It's beneath the like under the table type stuff that you're trying to do. And if y'all fellas get a chance, before I go ahead and land my plane, I'm gonna say this. If you listen to him in an interview that he was talking about Devin Haney in the past, he was kind of making fun of Devin Haney because his father is in his life. And he said, me and my brothers, we don't even have a father. We don't even know what that is. Well, sir, maybe it's unfortunate that you didn't have that. Maybe that's something that you're missing. That's something that you need. Fellas, if you had kids, man, don't do these boys like this. Don't do them. We got to do better. All right, now, last but not least, we got our hip-hop R&B questions. Again, I'm heavy on the R&B today, man. That's what I say, baby, if you're listening to this show right here, thinking about you, okay? First question that we have. Who's your all-time GOAT out of these choices right here for you? And you're listening. And yeah, you and Ty, you too. Think about your answer. Your response. So again, we got Sam Cooke. With those people who are not seeing this, they just hearing it. Sam Cooke, Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, Usher, Prince, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Luther Vandross, and Chris Brown. Who's your GOAT and why?
For me, Prince, man. I'm a Prince fan. Prince can make a song about just about anything. He's one of the few that had like rappers, the hardest rappers respected Prince. And this dude could come out in some high heels, with his butt cheeks out. And the hardest rappers respect him. Tupac respected Prince. All the ladies from Carmen Electra to Sheila E. and Sheila Easton, they all love Prince. And dude could play any, all the instruments. A lot of music he made, people would sample. He made covers that people don't even know he made. You know, like Shaka Khan's "I Feel For You." You know, like the "Me and My Girlfriend" that Beyonce, you know, sampled for it, or Beyonce Jay-Z sampled. If I Were Your Girlfriend, yeah. So for me, it's Prince.
What about you, Ty? Who's your go as far as R&B? I know,
But,
you know, Ty
yeah,
is like one of them. He like drill music. You know, he can't be listening. But anyway, which
yeah,
one?
so some of these guys are definitely before my time, but I'm just gonna go with who I listen to the most out of everybody. I hope nobody bashes me, the viewers, because the man's locked up. So I gotta go with R. Kelly, man.
I knew he was gonna do it.
Yes, for me it's just R. Kelly, man. Cause I know so many of R. Kelly's songs, so many, man. But I don't get me wrong, man. I like Sam Cooke, Michael Jackson. All these guys are great, man. But for me, it's just who I listen to the most. And that for me, like I said, that's definitely R. Kelly, man.
Yeah. So Adam says Keyshawn is coming off as a clout chasing duck. If you ask me, he's gonna have to win me over again. Yeah, I think we all in that same boat right there. As far as him, he's gonna have to, like I say, Frank Martin is a good start. Andy Cruz is a good start. But we gotta you gotta get some getting back, good brother. Oh, that's some good.
Yeah, that even brings us back to that conversation last week. Does Frank Martin beat a Keyshawn Davis? Since Keyshawn isn't that focused.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if it's the focus. It's more so. See, here's the thing, man, is that when you give people stuff too soon, or see, I don't even know now when you have that lack of self-awareness, were they giving you things that just made you look better than what you were? So when I'm looking at your resume now I'm starting to poke holes in a lot of stuff. Because really this De Los Santos fight, when you look at his previous opponents, they kind of tailor-made. Which comes a little dude. You got the little Baranchik. Baranchik, the only reason he had the belt is because Navarrete was supposed to beat him, but he couldn't. Navarrete is not good at 135, and Baranchik just kept like beating him to the punch, and he ended up upsetting him. That's the only reason why he had the belt. He's a smallish little dude at 135. Even the Lemos fight, I was just looking at Lemos because, you know, Hitchens ended up dropping the ball because he was trying to slug it out with dude when he shouldn't have been trying to slug it out. Had he just fought his regular normal fight, he would have probably beat Lemos maybe 12-0. But he looking at dude like, this dude, I'm gonna get busy on him. They're not following the game plan. Keyshawn just was too much for that dude. Who else is on his resume? That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah, Keyshawn, I mean, he didn't really have a lot of fights under his belt. So I mean,
like
that was
what,
yeah, but and De Los Santos was a good opponent. But like I said, man, he blew that opportunity, man. I mean, so.
Yeah, and we don't even, like I said, I don't even know what the outcome was. As a matter of fact, the good thing for him is that De Los Santos was coming off a long layoff. De Los Santos, regular De Los Santos and Keyshawn, I don't know. That's a 50-50 fight. That dude can crack. All right, man, let's go ahead and keep it moving, man. I'm in my love zone, man. I'm like, what's my man name? In the love zone. You don't know about that, man. That's that Billy Ocean. So anyway, man, you got Jodeci. Some people will rock out with them. And then you also got who I grew up off of, man, Ralph Tresvant. You know what I'm saying? Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. You know, who you go? You go with Devontae Swing and his crew, or do you go with Ralph in New Edition?
Do we count their subgroups?
No, we just whatever it is you want to look at it, sir.
I'm gonna go with New Edition, man. I liked all their albums, man, until maybe the mid '90s on. But
are you counting Del Biv and DeVoe?
I'm counting Bell Biv DeVoe. I'm counting Johnny Gill. I'm counting.
Tell me when will I see?
Oh yeah, smile again.
Because I know I'm never.
We see you saw that song a lot.
I like that. The highs and lows, though. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Many times before, and I broke each one. But what about you, Ty? Who you go with? Who you rocking up?
I was New Edition's a little. I was probably a kid when they was. I mean, I'll go with Jodeci, man. I'm gonna go with Jodeci. But I will say,
tie off the show right now, folks.
No, Casey and Joe, especially when Casey and JoJo and all that. They dope.
Yeah,
just messing with that. It's no wrong answer, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Casey and JoJo for me. But I will say, man, I was definitely jamming to Drew Hill yesterday.
Listen, man.
He had a whole nother wrinkle.
Yeah, the whole nother wrinkle. Tell me what to do to get through to you. When he do that, man,
Ricky Bell was. And you know what's funny? What's interesting about that album, even them, is Ricky Bell didn't really see himself as like the type that can lead a record like that. He was forced to because of Bell DeVoe wasn't really even intentional. It was really because they were losing their lead singer, and they were like, "What are we gonna do? Let's make a group." And Ricky Bell had to, play his chops to work. Man, you gotta respect that hustle.
Gotta respect the hustle. Gotta respect what he put on that song though too. And he got it's another one, something about Smile or something like that too that he did a good job. But anyway, Irvin Max says he go with Marvin Gaye over you fellas. Y'all young whippersnappers talking about. He said Marvin Gaye. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? I feel you on that, Marvin or Mac. He says Keyshawn is a great fighter. This is new for him. Yeah.
It's new for Abdullah Mason too.
Yeah, I mean, people come from different walks of life and things like that. We don't know what his background is in terms of, like I said, that's the reason why before you used to have a certain, kind of like development. Like now it's the development in no area activity isn't the same anymore. If it's everybody that you see from the Lubins to the other guys who just, I want to do it right now, and a lot of times dudes aren't ready. Or in Keyshawn's case, I think that he got a little arrogant and cocky based on him winning the WBO belt. But again, your resume is still a little shaky, but you getting a little bit too beside yourself, and they put you in a situation that you're not prepared for. They giving you got the key to the city, you got everything at your beck and call that, whatever it is you want, you can have it, especially in your hometown. And it's like overnight. Now, we can see you can handle it when you are successful, but what about when you have a little bit of adversity? How are you going to respond to those things? We haven't even seen you really respond to adversity in the ring. That could have been your first time that you find yourself getting up off your pockets. You know what I'm saying? So how would you respond then? Am I somebody who can accept and take that? Remember when Ray Leonard lost against Durant? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was disappointing, but at the same time, it was something that was eating at him, and it kind of made him better moving forward. So I don't know if he would have beat Tommy Hearns had he not faced the brawl in Montreal against, Durant. And so you learn those things about yourself. It's like what we said earlier about the Tupac and Biggie thing. Dudes just take remnants of certain things, but they're not looking at the full development of this person holistically. For him, he's just looking at the glitz and glamour. But again, what about that struggle that I need to go through, or that inevitably I'm going to go through? How am I going to respond in those situations? And that's why you don't want to give people stuff too soon, because you don't know how they're going to handle it when adversity sets in. Batty Boy Manhood Liquor. He says, Bill Haney should have never disrespected me. I used to be in love with that man, but he ended up the relationship once he started to gain recognition because he didn't want Devin to receive that.
I don't want you one though.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you, sir. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. All right, I get where you're going. So it's New Edition, awesome in concert, still to this day, right? And I think New Edition is kind of unfair too, because they got the Johnny Gills coming in, they got Bobby. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think with the exception of JoJo and his brother, like the other guys, they didn't, go off and have success. So you got, Rub Me the Right Way. You know what I'm saying? Like he got his thing going on. Then you got like Bobby had one of the best albums of the 90s.
Don't be cruel. Tenderoni.
Oh man, yeah. They was calling him, or his wife was calling him, the king of R&B. All right. So Adam, he says, yes, Irving, but because he watched De Los Santos versus El Rayo fight too many times doesn't mean he should try to get out of it. Yeah, that's real. That's real. Because once you see that fight, the way he was putting them paws on Rayo, Now, Ryo had his moments, but he fell victim to De Los Santos. And not just does De Los Santos has some cement in his hands, he got good footwork too. And so he's the most well-rounded guy. I just think, I don't know. I'm not sure if De Los Santos has a weak set of whiskers, though. That's what I was interested in. Last but not least, man, I got to get you 3 questions when it comes to the R&B. Fellas, man, what's your favorite Tony song? I think one of them passed away recently, and I was listening to a little bit of them the other day. And I got a ringtone for certain people who call. That ringtone comes on, and it's a Tony song. What's your favorite Tony song, fellas?
Man, I just forgot the name of it, but I can see. I know the line. I know somebody I can't sleep without your 8x5 by my side.
I don't know. What about you, Ty? You got a favorite Tony song?
Nah, I gotta pass on this one, man.
Got to pass on it.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, girl, I can provide whatever you need. Call 62-2135. You don't know anything about that, man. That's that.
It never rains in Southern California. Yes.
That's Southern California. That was cool, but that whatever you want.
Whatever you want, yeah.
Go hard. But anyway, this is our last question of the day, man. I got the hip hop. My main man, he came out this past weekend. I'm gonna go ahead and show you who I'm talking about. When I put this question up here, you may not have him on your Mount Rushmore, but my question is, could you see why someone would put him on the top Mount Rushmore of rappers? And that is Lil Weezy. Came out with the Carter 6 vintage Lil Weezy. Some people saying that they were disappointed. I just think Weezy is one of those guys at this particular point of his career. He's just going to give you the random clever bars, and the bars that he give you, you could put them on any song. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, he's going to give you some wordplay and stuff like that. I like it. But my question is, although I don't think that you will have him on your Mount Rushmore, but could you see why someone would put Lil Wayne on their Mount Rushmore? And if so, why? If not, why not?
I mean, yeah, I'm not a big Lil Wayne fan. That's kind of when I kind of stopped listening to hip hop. But at the same time, the dude did his thing, man. He was running it. And I don't like that now they act like he just didn't do anything, like he's just a nobody. And that's one of the sad things about hip hop is you do all these things, and now the next hot guy comes, and it's like you just a nobody. You know what I'm saying? Just throw him to the side, And I think he's feeling that. I'm
looking at these comments, man. Just don't worry.
I think he's feeling that backlash. Like, man, you know what I'm saying? It's not like he's making his music any deeper. I mean, like any different or anything like that. It's always been that way. But people just hop on to the next hot thing and they forget about you. And he never really. And his problem, I think, his issue. And I'm not gonna blame him or say anything because we all different. But he never really transitioned to anything else. Like, let's say, Jay-Z, where Jay-Z doesn't have to really care about rap music. He can just do what he's doing right now as a businessman. And I think Wayne never really did that. So
that's what would put you on your Mount Rushmore is the stuff you do outside of hip hop. Like,
well, I'm not saying that, but I think that would have helped him transition from what he's doing now. Now it almost seems like he has to have that hip hop respect off this last album, and he doesn't really need that. He already did his thing.
He still got a tongue. He still got vocal cords. He still has talent. So this is what he loves to do. Lil Wayne always has been a studio rap. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like what Bebo Jones says, like the Drought 3. He says mixtapes went hard. Mixtape Weezy. That mixtape, that's the reason why I say I could put Weezy. That's one of the reasons why I can have him on the Mount Rushmore. Check this out, man. I remember back in 98, 99, me and my boy Kent, we were going through the mall in Jackson, Mississippi. When we went through the mall, The Block Is Hot was out, and Nelly was out with Country Grammar. So the young girls in the store, so we used to go in there like looking for different music and stuff like that. And that's when CDs and stuff like that was like $17.99, $18.99. And so we went in there. The young girls was like, you want the new Block is Hot? We got the new Wheezy. We got Nelly. We looking at each other laughing like, man, they people buying that? You know what I'm saying? And then the other thing about Wheezy too is Birdman used to always say he riding out with his youngin. I always was more so thinking about Juvenile and BG now. And so I really wasn't a Wayne fan. Now that I go back in retrospect, I see why he rolled out with Wayne, because when you compare Wayne lyrically to them, Wayne covers way much more ground than they can cover. It's just that you might be able to feel them a little bit more, especially during that time. Wayne lyrics age better than their lyrics age as well, too. But as far as him being able to put stuff, like I say, he covered way too much ground than Juvenile and BG. So he was far superior. And I see that now as opposed to then. I just wasn't really interested in his subject matter. But Lil Wayne can talk about some stuff too if he wants to. He just moved further away from that. As far as him being on Mount Rushmore, definitely. That dude, that mixtape era, when you talk about that era with Papoose, when he was banging off the mixtapes, Wayne was right there. It was either Wayne or it was Pap, who was coming out. The droughts that he had. He had Lil Louisiana. Oh my God. It's a couple other mixtapes. Then when you come out with the Carter series, he started to switch his flow up a little bit, and he was learning from some of the other dudes. So he'll take a little bit of Jay-Z flow with it, and then sometimes we start riding a beat. And you heard that on the songs like Bring It Back, Go DJ, where he just be riding the beat, on those songs. Then he was a little bit more lyrical on Carter 2, but I thought he put it all together. His best piece of work was that Carter 3, where he gave you a little bit of everything. On this piece that he did here, Wayne has so many different fans of his from different eras. I think with this one, he tried to give you the best of what he does for those particular fans who like those particular type of songs. But definitely, this dude could be on Mount Rushmore as far as like those first Carters, the mixtapes, the features. You got the one with Kelly Roy. I mean, I'm just naming the motivation. I listened to that the other day. I'm like, Lil Wayne was on fire. Like, it was at one point he couldn't miss. You know what I'm saying? So I got to say, Wayne definitely could be. If I think about it, if the criteria was there, I might have him on my Mount Rushmore. But that's a cold dude, man. I ain't going to lie. Like, I really didn't give him his credit at first, but he won me over. He did the Keyshawn Davis, but he never, did anything to take away from the credit I think that he truly deserves. Wayne did his thing, but the drink is hurting him. Oh, you talking about that? He used to be, yeah, double cup all the time. What about you though, Ty? What do you think about Lil Weezy? Lil Louisiana?
Yeah, man, I think Wayne is definitely one of the top rappers. And a lot of people can argue that Wayne is one of their favorites. If I'm not mistaken, I think the very first time I heard Wayne was on Back That Thing Up with Juvenile. And of course, he was like real young at that time. And just his verse on that song was hot. You know what I mean? He was young. And then, of course, like you guys mentioned, he had a nice mixtape run, consistent music. Yeah, so Wayne's definitely Miss Officer. That's my joint there. Yeah, but like the mixtape joints he did, yeah. He always said that he was the best. Like you said it earlier, I don't know what song it was, Go DJ or Bring It Back, when he at the end of the song, the best rapper alive. Yeah. The best rapper. Yeah, that was my joint too, man. So yeah, man, Wayne got to be one of the guys on everybody's list. He got the joints with Nicki Minaj and Drake. So yeah, Wayne's definitely one of the best rappers, man, for sure.
You know what song I love with him and Drake? Tell me what's really going on. Jizzy up and was that in? Yeah. Listen to Wayne verse on that joint. I'll be listening to that now. Because I was listening to Cash Money Greatest Hits, and I forgot that little era when Drake was coming on and Weezy was kind of like turning over the reins to Drake. That was a cold era right there, and I didn't give it credit at that time, that it deserved. But yeah, man, Weezy is one of them dudes, man. Urban Max says Wayne is still a GOAT. Yeah, I agree. His transition is more so, you see him on like sports talk with Skip Bayless when Skip was still on and stuff like that. So he did venture off and do some other stuff.
Yeah, speaking of Wayne, now he is doing like a reunion tour this year. Matter of fact, he's gonna be in Jersey. I just seen this a few days ago. He's gonna be in Jersey, I believe, next month.
So when you say reunion, is that like Cash Money? Is that with BG and all of them, or which one?
Nah, I'm looking at it right now. It says built on 20 years of the Carter Classics. I'm thinking it's just him. North America tour. Yeah, it's just him. I'm assuming, but it says with Tiger, so special guest Tiger or something. So some other names on here I'm not really too familiar with, but yeah, like he's doing like a North American tour. So yeah, but you guys familiar with that song Midnight? It's old. It's a lot of stuff he was saying in that song. I don't even know what he's saying, but I just know it's called. He just starts off midnight, and then the beat drop. Okay, I like that song.
Bebo says he brought up Nicki too. Yeah, Cash Money has some, like, as far as them numbers, bro. They did their thing. Nicki, Drake, Wayne, Birdman had his little run. My boy used to like Birdman. I'm like, Birdman don't be saying nothing. He said, man, I just like the fact that he mean what he say. I was like, okay, well, shit, go. That's what float your boat. But all that little weak rap, I couldn't really dig it. Anything else you fellas have, man, before we wrap this up? Another good show, man. It's disappointing, what we experienced this week. As far as the young man, Keyshawn, get it together, good brother. Like, this is a tough time right now, but it's self-inflicted, though. You know what I'm saying? You can't really blame anybody else. I don't want you sitting up here, my team did this or somebody. Nah, it's all on you. It's all on you. You're a young man. Just grow from the experience. Learn from it. Hopefully. See, the thing that I was most disappointed with, and I keep using the word lack of remorse, is because when you do stuff and you just like have that carefree mentality that you're so selfish. See, when you have that, when they give you the reins, oh, it's a lot of noise in the background. Somebody got some noise. But when they give you the reins on something like that, and you got so many people that's depending on you, you got to move like a boss is going to move. You can't move like a peasant. Like I say, you doing little rinky-dink stuff that, like, it's like somebody who is wealthy and somebody who's never been experienced any of that. They'll talk to them, and then the person who's just used to having things is like, dang, you still stuck on something small like that? And I know that this has been thrust on you so quickly, and some of the ways that you have, it's hard to break some of those habits. But you got to really, with what you're given, you got to position yourself and be around people that's going to allow you and help you grow. You can't just be stuck doing the same stuff when you have this type of opportunity that's right there for you. You must, like what he did this weekend. It was almost impossible to be at this stage like this low right now based on what he was given and how things look so promising going into this weekend. Like I say, Bill, even with a loss, even with a knockout loss, you would have been in a better situation with that as opposed to doing all of these conniving, deceitful things, because you can't, it's hard, like I say, you can't get back, but it's hard to get back that loss of character, that loss of class. People are going to be, that's going to be in their vision or envisioning that, for a long time to come until you kind of right your wrongs with whatever it is, whatever plan that you come up with. But I'm just disappointed, man. This was a golden opportunity for you to carry on that tradition of people like the great Pernell Whitaker. I'm gonna let you fellas close out, man. Cardi weight fitting needs to stop, or catch weight fighting needs to stop. I don't too much care for it. I think guys need to take care of what's in their weight class and let the chips fall where they may. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and close it out, though, Bill. You out there in the 7 cities area. And so we're gonna let you go ahead, unless you got something else. Make sure you subscribe to Ty's channel as well. even though he's cooking us as far as the numbers are concerned, man.
No, man. Shout out to Ty, man. Much success, man. He do his thing, man. You know what I'm saying? So
he deserve everything he gets, man.
Everything he got, man. So yeah.
Just don't be doing no Keyshawn Davis stuff. But go ahead, Bill.
But shout out to all the people that came through on the comment section, man, and shout out to you guys, Ty and Will, man. You know, we do this every week, man. It was, of course, we had to get it all out, but it was a good show, you know. So shout out to Bo Mac, you know what I'm saying? You know, it wasn't his night yesterday, but hey, more power to you.
More power to you, man. Are we out?
Yeah, we out, man.
And shout out to Bebo, everybody in the chat, man. Kono Loco. We also had my boy, let me see. Let me go back up here. Irvin Mack, you know, heavy in the chat. You got Adam, you know. Shout out to all y'all, man. We'll catch y'all on a rebound next week. All right, peace.
Peace.